Hello and welcome to the Computer Game Show. My name's David Turner. I'm here with Matt Murray,
Hello.
Sean Bell,
Hello.
and do you remember him? Do you remember him? It's James Farley.
Hello, David.
Hello.
Hello.
Uh,
Are you
and-
not saying
and-
I
hello
was
to
going to say
me?
you're not saying hello to me and Matt.
Jesus, wow.
And Sean.
Unbelievable.
And Matt, yeah.
We'd like to start the show as we always start the show by thanking our Patreon producers this month, the Full Nels crew. Oh my God, we cannot appreciate you more. You are the fifth member, sir. You are the fifth members of TCGS. You are the QuickBooks chap, Simon Nelson, Moomin Biscuit, Trans Rights are Human Rights, Dave Ernsberger, Colin Brown, Gasman, Rocketman76, Grey Dragon Claw, Smooth Monkey, Colin Smith, Richard Sawyer, John Tempelli, Jackie Sniper, Gordon Garrow, Safe As Records, Sam Higton, Jonathan Edwards, Fred Fenge, Tom S., Ryan Cobain, and Josh Hunt. Full Nels! They went full Nels. You can do too by going to patreon.com/TCGS or choose another tier there. Choose another tier. We released our bonus show last week. Sean and Matt played what was it? Too Human.
Too human.
Too human last night.
Why?
Because it's a great game.
It's a
It's
game
an
everyone's talking
underrated classic, and it's free for anyone
Okay,
to
well, that's
play
there.
because it was the subject of a lengthy lawsuit, and they can't actually legally sell it anymore.
Is the Resurrection movie still as great as it was when it first came out?
It is, although I only realised after the stream, Matt, that because we're just so brilliant, we only saw it like
Oh
once.
my God, yes. Because
I thought that was going to be a rich vein of comedy. We were going to be mining that all night, but it only happened like at the start, and then we were just too fucking good.
Even on the boss, we were like, okay, this can't be the full health meter.
Yeah,
Bang. Okay, it was.
yeah, killed it.
Great work.
So
Well, there you
yeah,
go.
it was quite funny that one time.
It was actually, yeah.
You can,
Great scheme,
you
great
can,
game.
You can go and watch Sean and Matt play that game if you've selected the correct tier over at patreon.com/TCGS. James Farley, welcome back. How does it feel knowing that the show can fly without you? How the show can thrive
improve, if
without
anything.
you? Yeah.
I mean, I
How's that feel?
was proud, honestly. I was very proud of you, of what you put out. I thought it was really very good.
What?
Over the
You
last
don't
couple
get
of
to
weeks.
be proud of us.
Yeah, I do.
That's not how it works.
That sort of implies that you're responsible, doesn't it? Yeah.
Could you imagine going taking a week off on a holiday from work and then going back into your boss and saying, "I'm really proud of you."
Yeah.
They'll just go, "Get back to work." What the fuck are you talking about?
I thought you all did a bang up job. I enjoyed the guests. I thought the guests were very good. It's great hearing John again and Sarah. I thought that was really good.
Yeah, I very much enjoyed Sarah. How have you been? You okay?
Yeah, I'm all right.
Alright.
Yeah, it's.
I
I mean, I'm.
missed doing the show.
Yeah, actually, I did, and I mean, every week I listened to it, and I enjoyed it, and I did feel a bit sad, like not being involved at all. It was a bit annoying. I mean, there was only one part of it, I mean, that I didn't like very much, and that was the Farley
Well,
Facts thing.
unfortunately, we've got quite a long show tonight,
We've
lots of
got to move
games, so
on,
we're going to
really.
move on to feedback this week. No, go on, James. What?
I mean,
what
I
wrong
was
with your Farley facts.
Okay, first of all, obviously they're all wrong. I mean, that's completely.
Fuck off.
They were all
Mine
completely
mine
fake.
was legitimate.
Yeah.
All completely
So-
fake. But then
No,
also,
sorry, which one was fake?
Yeah.
all of them. They were all completely wrong.
They weren't
It's-
though, because I know several of them. Show me your nipples.
I'm
Yeah.
not doing. You know that I'm
Show
not
me your
going to do
pants.
that. You
Have you
know
got
that
any
I'm not
bubbles?
going to do either of
Have you
those
got any
things.
bubbles?
If you don't
because
show
you'll be
us,
proven
that's
wrong.
yeah, basically admitting that you're
Yeah.
wrong, isn't it?
Have you got any bubbles
Someone-
nearby?
Yeah, you got any bubbles near you?
See, that's
course
what's
you
annoying,
haven't.
right? Because first of all, I was annoyed that you ignored my friendly letter. Of like, please don't do this anymore. That annoyed
actually,
me a bit.
about that was just addressed to David. It wasn't addressed to TCGS.
That's
the show.
true. The
Yeah,
organisation.
technically I didn't.
Yeah, there was a bit of a loophole on that. But then, I mean, honestly though, the ones that David did, I mean, they were juvenile. The usual sort of thing you'd be expecting from David. But the one that really upset me was the West Ham one. That really pissed me off. Honestly,
It surprised me actually. I didn't know that. I didn't know
Yeah,
that
no,
one.
it's
And
not-
I
me
understand
neither.
why
Well,
you
I mean,
didn't
it's
tell me that.
completely outrageous, and it made me sick
tell
because
us.
also
Matt, I got to tell you, I was driving home from Wales when I listened to that, and the thought of a young James Farley getting upset because the bubbles were popping near his face
Yeah.
and him sort of like swiping away his face. Honestly, you know when people message us going, "Oh, I nearly crashed the car," I know what they mean now because I was like struggling to breathe during that bit.
I mean, it angered me because we'd just been beaten 3-1 by West Ham that weekend,
Oh, right, okay.
and on
Good timing.
TV, you saw all the people on TV doing that whole
wait,
with the
wasn't it
hammers
Brighton?
thing,
Hold
which
on,
was
wasn't it Brighton that just beat West Ham? Just beat 3-1.
No.
Yeah,
Brighton fan now.
they also beat us
You're
as well
Brighton
3-1
fan now?
before.
Oh,
It's,
okay.
yeah. It might as well be, seeing as we bought half their squad. But no, it's. But no, I was very disappointed by that. I thought it was pretty underhand to say something like that, which is obviously completely false.
Well, I spoke
And,
to Chen, and she told me about it, and so it's Chen you should be annoyed about, not
Yeah,
me.
yeah, and also the fact that you've been outed, James Farlong.
Because you had a bubble incident when you're younger. It's
So
not my fault.
4 weeks it's been. That's the only bit of feedback you got, is it?
Well, no, I don't know what else you want me to
That's
say
high
because
pitched.
it was. I know it was very high pitched, but no, it was. It was look, okay. I've been somewhere where I've had very limited internet access, but I made the effort to download the show and listen to it, and I did enjoy it every week. So there you go.
Okay.
It was good.
Right. Well, I've got a bit of feedback from last week's show.
Go on.
Just a few comments here. Matt calling us brave for doing a 2-man show, Sean. Who is he to patronise us? Brave? Wasn't brave. We're just two entertaining guys. That's all it is. What's brave about that, Matt?
See, I don't remember much about that show.
What?
Wow.
Yeah.
Did you hear it?
I definitely heard it, but I don't remember much about it.
It was a
He's
good
just
show.
really he's really trying to fight back, isn't he? He's trying
He
to get
is.
into the he's trying to get back into the the throwing and the punches of the show, but
It's
sometimes
just,
you miss.
don't remember much about it. Yeah.
I've also got Matt then saying us dragging it out was the same as him dragging it out. That was right, Matt, right? Although, we went off on hilarious tangents, but you once asked James what Yakuza games he had played, and then when he finished listing them, you then asked him what Yakuza games he hadn't played. There's a difference between how we drag things out. One's entertaining, the other's asking one to list games they haven't played. So let's not. Come on. Also, and I just put last week's show was fucking disgusting because that was after
Actually,
the various.
I wasn't very happy
mean-
about aspects of that either. Actually, the whole thing with the stomach pump thing was disgusting.
There was a lot of.
Oh no,
jizz
yeah.
chat.
To be fair, I would have left that in. I did. Me and Matt did have a conversation about maybe taking the Dungeons and Dragons story out, but I was all right with the Rod Stewart anecdote.
You're happy with the Rod Stewart, are you?
Well, Stuart, fine. I bleeped the wizard bit. It's
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
That's our
Okay.
job.
All right. Okay.
And nobody
that was
knew
just
what
my
that
feedback.
bleeped out word was.
No, it could be
So it's
anything.
fine.
That was my favourite bit of the show though, because I always love a bleep. It's,
Yeah,
it's very good.
Joe's loves a beat. Right, feedback then. Let's get to what the listeners thought of last week's show, Matt.
Yes,
they'll love it,
Clark
did they?
has messaged. Sarah mentioned Final Fantasy XI last week, saying that it was on PS2 and an MMO no one played it. It was also PC and Xbox 360, full crossplay, and had a daily average users of 35,000 with total subscribers of over 1 million. At the time, these were bonkers numbers, only beaten by WoW. I played it for many years and forged many amazing lifelong friendships, and wanted to say it's by far the best Final Fantasy storyline ever told. Great show as always. Loved the part where Sean's dog went full-on dambusters on the water bowl. Keep it up and keep us smiling. Cheers from Clark.
Yeah, sorry about that.
I saw that.
Sarah's not there to defend herself here, though.
Yeah, I mean, all I'll say in Sarah's defence is that, my broad understanding of Final Fantasy XI was that it was shite and no one liked it. So maybe me and Sarah are both wrong, but clearly that is a stereotype that has persisted.
Clark is absolutely fuming.
Yeah,
Absolutely
that's what I'm
fuming
saying. I'm not
with
saying Clark's wrong. Obviously, their experience
it. I'm just implying it.
is. I'm just saying. Yeah, that was what I'd gathered about 11. I don't know. It was one of those at the time. Like, it was on PS2, but no one had the network adapter. Yeah, it was on PC, but I seem to remember the account systems are fucking nightmare. In fact, the account system for 14 is a nightmare. So I can believe the one for 11 was. So I don't know. It always just felt a bit inaccessible. I never really knew anyone who got into it.
I had a
Until now.
friend who was heavily into it, and he even went to the US for like a meet as well
Really?
from like
How did
playing
that
it.
go?
How
I'll
do you know
tell you about it
these
later.
people? We never hear about this. Do I know this person?
No, you don't. No.
Why have you never told me this
It's
story?
James.
It's so weird how
It's
James
actually
has
James.
this little life outside of our world. I wonder what he's like. I like to know what he's like in other social groups because everyone changes their behaviour slightly in different social groups, right?
Yeah,
You
100%.
do. It's natural. It's natural. I want to see every one of James's personalities. I want to see what. I was thinking about you at
Every
work the
mask.
other day, James.
Yeah.
Like not while I was at work. I was thinking about you at work and what
Okay.
you're doing. Where you're just going, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that because I did it last week. And it's not. Listen, I'm not getting involved with this discussion again. If you come at me with this again, we're going to have to take this further. Is that clear? Like, I just imagine James Farley, like,
It's being really firm
hand
and
gestures,
assertive. I think
standing up
what
for
makes me
himself.
laugh, right, is that we get glimpses into his other
T-posing.
lives, right? Like his work stuff and his secret friends we're not allowed to meet. I don't think he mentions us to anyone else.
No way.
That's a good question. James, where do we sit with that?
I don't want to talk about this.
No one knows he has a podcast. No one knows
James,
he has a
you're not,
podcast.
mate, honestly, you've done fuck all for the pod for a month. You're talking about this. So what happens? You go to work. Does anyone at your work know about that you're like
I
an
really don't
international
want to talk about
superstar?
this. Really don't want to.
Why not?
Because
Why not?
Because I just don't
Why?
want to talk about it, especially not on here. It's weird.
Well, you're gonna. What do you mean, especially on here? What?
Because
have
it's
you got
just
another
weird. I
podcast?
just I don't like talking about this. It's just strange, you know.
You know how you hear about these people that have like secret families across like the country or whatever, and the families don't know about each other. I reckon that's James with podcasting. I reckon
Yeah.
like he's really big in another field of podcasting, and he's worried that if he
Yeah.
starts talking about this stuff, people could cross
It's
reference.
going to bleed into it, isn't it?
Yeah,
He's
he
actually been
uses
using a voice changer on this show
yeah,
the
he
whole time, and
uses
we
an
never.
Xbox Live
it-
voice mask.
It's the Dark Lord one, you know.
No, James, come on.
I knew
So
that wasn't
you're
a
at
real,
work.
real voice. I couldn't do it.
Do you ever mention your podcast at work ever?
No,
Has it ever? Why are you so weird about this?
because I
Because
don't
if I
like
was-
talking about it. Because it's just
No,
you know.
right, okay, James, but listen to me. If we were to say to you, talk about your work and where you work and what you do more, I could understand why you wouldn't want to talk about it. But we're not asking that.
Yeah.
We're asking if you talk about us.
No, because look, there's aspects of my life I like to keep things kind of compartmentalised. You know,
There's aspects of
Exactly.
his life he's
You can
ashamed
tell
of,
us
Dave.
now
and
if
he's
you have or haven't mentioned us.
At your swinger parties you go to, James, do you mention that you're a podcaster?
I mean, all the time. It's what gets me in.
Dirty.
Strange choice of phrase. Okay, should we move on to the next bit of feedback? Matt?
Yes. End is Forever has messaged, "Hi all, great show as always. I just wanted to mention Pokemon Go, and over the last year I got back into it after a long break, and I played the community day at my local park. I'm from a small town, and it's crazy to see the amount of people out there playing the game, even here. It really made for a great sense of community with everyone chatting and catching like I felt I was at a proper event. There are no other games like that. And just a quick mention, I'm making friends at work. I work in banking, and I've probably made 3 or 4 really good mates via work. It's more of a case of if you end up working with people with the same interests than working in a certain field. Sometimes I get, oh Jesus Christ, sorry.
It's a bit of a run on this,
It
isn't it?
really is. Anyway, yeah, it's about basically if you work in a certain field, I guess you get lucky with the people you end up working with, and that was for End is Forever.
End is Forever. When you're working in a bank and you're making friends with people that have similar interests, is that similar interest then just money? Like, it was, there we
Most people,
go.
What's your favourite
Fucking
note?
love money, man.
What's your favourite toy?
Millions. Yeah, mine too, mate. Mine too. Do you want to go for a coffee? Two things about Pokemon Go. Firstly, am I the only one that still hears Pokemon Go to the polls? Like every time I hear the word Pokemon Go.
I still think
Like,
about that a lot.
Yeah, it really makes me feel. It's one of those things that makes me curl up and want to be sick on my lap. Like it gets me so like tense thinking of a guy. Pokemon Go to the polls. Also, and I'm not taking the piss out of people that use Pokemon Go. Most of my mates I met through online gaming or podcasting, right? So yeah, but you're into Pokemon Go, Sean, right?
Mhm. Yep.
And if you see someone else doing Pokemon Go,
Mm.
do you ever talk to them?
No.
And if you had to, say you had to, what
Yeah.
would be the opening line? Would it be like, "Got any gyms? You been gyms around here?" Or what, like,
got any
what-
gyms?
Got any gyms to trade? Could you trade a gym with
Have
me?
you got? Have you got any? I need to feed some of my Pikachu to my Pikachu, your Pikachu to my Pikachu to level them up. Is that not a conversation?
That's how it works, isn't it? Yeah. I think I just literally just open with like, you playing Pokemon, right? Because I think that would be the first thing to establish before getting into any actual game terms, because they could just be on their phone.
Yeah.
They could be playing Pikmin.
They could be playing
They
Pikmin.
go, no, mate.
Yeah.
No, mate, I'm not.
No.
You go,
And you're like, okay,
you go.
cool. See ya.
Right, no worries. I'm just gonna
Bye.
die right here.
I'll never forget.
I'm gonna get off this stop, even though my stop is not for, like 14 miles away. I'm leaving this bus now.
I'll never forget one of the first roll muck meets I went to. I can't remember if I was with you, Matt. James, did you ever come to the ones in Bath?
No, I never went to any of those.
Okay, fine. So,
Man, missed out.
one of the first ones I went to, we were in a pub. Me and a friend were in a pub, and everyone was saying we're meeting near like the bar that we're all doing it in, which was the Slug and Lettuce. Over the road, there was a pub with a big beer garden out the front, and we got a pint and we sat down. And I looked over and I recognised someone from the forum, and I was like, I know who that is. And then they were with like a group of about 10 other nerdy-looking guys, you know. And I was like, right. We need to go and say hello. We need to go and introduce ourselves, but we don't know these people, and it's really awkward. And so I had like 2 pints, and I thought, right, okay, I'm feeling confident now. I'm gonna go over, walk over, and I just went, "Hiya, you all right?" To the group of about 10 people. Yep. You're from the forum. What? And I sort of thought, okay, maybe they didn't hear forum. You're all from the forum. What? I just went, how do you know each other? We work with each other. I went, okay, bye. And I've never hated myself more. I was like, it was one of those where I walked over to my mate who was watching from afar and just went, drink up, we're leaving.
Because what's great with Pokemon Go is like Pokemon Go Fest has just happened. So we went out. Just to do some of the Go Fest, because it's the one that you can do from anywhere, right? They still have like location specific ones, but then they do ones that you buy a ticket in the app, and then that opens like activities and stuff. And like walking around town, you can see, obviously you see people wearing Pokemon stuff, right, with their phones out, and it's like, right, it's pretty obvious. And then sometimes you'll see,
like t-shirts and that.
Yeah, or like there was a couple, and they both had jackets with all like badges like ironed up on the fucking sleeves. But then sometimes you'll see a group of nerds with the phones out. Sorry, what, Dave?
Yeah. I said I can see why you don't introduce yourself now.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah, Sean's in full Digimon outfit. Ah, shit.
one of the ones with the battery in the breast pocket where you touch it, it all lights up.
Yeah. The huge wings come out.
But sometimes you'll see a group of like, slightly nerdy looking people all with their phones out as they're like walking down the street, and you think, oh, they might be playing Pokemon, but then maybe they might just be looking at their phones, and then you'll see one of them go like, yes, and do a little victory fist because he's clearly just fucking caught something. It's like, right, they are playing Pokemon.
Gives them away, doesn't it?
Yep.
All right. Next bit of feedback, please.
Timothy Quadrangle. Sean, oi, over here. Listen to you discuss Baldur's Gate 3 on the last podcast, particularly playing on both PC and Steam Deck. Have you found it takes a ridiculous amount of time to upload your cloud save each time you switch, or is it just me? Love the show. Bye.
It's been all right with the Steam one. What's weird about Baldur's Gate 3 is it's got your Steam cloud saving, but then it also has like Larian's own cross saving. So if you want to play on like between PS5 and PC, that is an option. And I enabled that. I think it asks you if you want to enable it, and I was just like, yeah, okay. And then after about 30 hours, I was like, why have I got this enabled? I'm never going to play it. I don't own a PlayStation 5. Why have I turned this on? So yeah, like that often, like when you save in game, I was having issues with it, like with the Larian cross save thing not working and taking forever. So I just fucking turned that off, and then now I just quit the game, and then Steam uploads its.
But you're going to want to turn it back on, aren't you, for the Xbox version?
Well, no, don't need it.
No, you might want to play on TV or the handheld or PC. It's not another option.
This is a weird.
I'm not going to buy it. Yeah, it feels like a Matt Murray dragging it out scenario.
What? That's just a fucking question.
Well, I'm not going to buy it again on the Xbox.
I guess you will have to buy it. Yeah.
But yeah, unless it's on Game Pass.
Not yet, ain't.
Well, surely you're going to play every version of it on every
Every
format.
single
Sean,
Maybe I'll
aren't you?
buy a PS5 as well.
I mean, which version do you think would be the best, Sean? You know, if you were to.
Don't drag out, James.
Not the
Embarrassing.
Series S one, that's for sure.
Thanks for the feedback.
Of course, that. Nathis from Casino Royale. Feedback regarding Jeff Keeley. I'm forever impressed / baffled by Matt's true dedication standing by Jeff Keeley week in, week out. To the bitter end, Matt will support and defend Jeff's honour. In a world of broken promises and treachery, Matt's unwavering loyalty to his middle-aged Canadian man is to be commended. Roughly 2,000 years ago, Paul spread the good word of Christ throughout the Mediterranean. In the 21st century, Matt sees it as his duty to stand by his man. If nothing else, this belief in Sir Jeff Keeley OBE warms my heart and stirs the soul. Fair play.
Yeah, it's
great
weird,
man.
isn't it? I reckon Jeff's got some real bad dirt on Matt Murray.
Oh
And
my
that's
God.
just
Yeah,
sounding
we go
mad.
way back.
Do you think they're both Scientologists? That's how they get you. That's how they do it.
It is. Yeah, you can't do anything now, Matt. You're in. What
Got you,
tier are
mate.
you? What do they call it? I can't remember.
He's
what they call it,
he's
what
gone
level.
clear. Matt has. It's
Oh yeah. Yeah, Jeff's. What's going on, Matt?
No, just I don't get hating on one man. I've never got that anyway. Like people are like, oh, wish James Corden was dead. It's like, what? You don't even know the person.
Yeah, but no one's wished him dead. That's the
Yeah,
difference.
I know. I just I've never got. I don't know. I've just
I'm the
I've got nothing
same. Like
against
I'm
him.
the same. If someone says I wish Jeff, what was his name? James
James
Corden
Corden.
was dead, I'd go, well, that's out of order. What's
Yeah.
the po-"
You
But
see
if
it all
someone
the
I
comes
time.
up
don't
to me and
like him
says, I
either,
find him
but I
really
don't wish
irritating.
him-
I'll go,
yeah.
yeah, he is. Do you know what I mean? That's fine.
I don't
That's
know.
fine,
I just
isn't it?
I don't know. Just I've got
Can
nothing against
everyone-
him, and
Can
I'm not
everyone
going to hate
just
on him.
stop killing Jeff Keeley, please?
Yeah, please.
Just lay off.
Stop wishing him dead, for
Yeah.
Christ's sake.
Stop
Wishing him
offering
ill.
prayers to Satan, wishing Jeff Keeley dead. Just stop it.
Okay.
Stop doing it.
All right.
Phil.
next.
Brilliant to listen back to episode 200 and find out James's true reasons for his hatred of Jeff Keeley are because of the razzmatazz and because he hates the environment for the whooping.
Oh, he creates.
He
the environment.
creates the environment for the whooping.
Yeah, that was. I remember that specifically. James kicking off because he loves the whooping. James is never like that. Even at E3 before, because it was like E3 was relatively. You would clap, right? And you'd hear some gasps and you hear some
Yeah, yeah.
clapping and maybe a bit of cheering.
yeah.
But there was probably around 2012, around that.
It was
time,
when-
2011.
It was when Microsoft started like really loading their conferences with like Microsoft employees as well to like really like gear it up for like loads of people
Yeah,
whooping and
where
stuff.
they would, and it went from clapping and cheering to wow, like whatever. It's just so bizarre.
Have you ever whooped,
no.
James?
I've never whooped. It's just
Not
irritating.
once
isn't
in
it?
your life. Not
Like,
even at a
even
gig
like
or something.
A gig. I was
Yeah.
going to say, yeah.
No.
Festival.
He didn't. he didn't
Never
at the
felt the
Queen's
need to
gig,
do
I
so. I
took
mean,
to.
what's the point? You know.
He did
fun.
dance. He did dance at that Queen's gig, but he
That's
didn't
true.
whoop.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
No
drunk.
whooping.
James, go on, give us a little whoop.
No, I'm
Not
gonna do that.
sarcastic. No, go
No.
on, give us a little whoop and see how it feels. See how it feels on you.
You've never whooped at a festival?
Wake
Oh,
up
yeah.
the neighbours
Yeah.
with a whoop.
Go on.
All right, I'll do it. I'll do it. Okay, hang on.
Not
hang on.
sarcastic.
No, I'm not going to do a sarcastic one. I'm going to do a real one. Okay.
Go on then.
Woo!
That
Okay.
was all right.
Okay.
That was more than I expected.
I
That
feel
was
quite
more than I
uncomfortable, but-
expected. But it also sounded like a train going through
Yeah.
a tunnel.
Yeah,
rather
edit that out, Matt. Edit that out.
Yeah, I'm gonna edit it in like a really hardcore up.
Bass boosted.
Yeah.
Feedback.
Yeah, 16-bit Sega dude, re-tattoos. I have the luxury of listening to podcasts all day while I work and have been re-listening to some of the early episodes. I think you should delve into the TCGS archive for some tattoo ideas. In episode 31, the dominant arm should be on news. Matt says he wants to buy the rumour on one Yeah, Matt says he wants to buy the rumour on one bicep and sell the news on the other. In a later episode, I can't remember which, Dave suggested James should have King Slut across his knuckles, and James sounded well up for it. Food for thought? Appreciate you.
Oh my god. Could you imagine if James agreed to get the words King Slut tattooed on him somewhere? How good would that be?
That would be quite good, because then when eventually if I show people, I'm like, hey, look, have a look at that. And they just...
yeah.
James,
Why-
did you
why'd
lift
you
your
get that
t-shirt
done?
up
'Cause I
for
am.
your knuckles?
Yeah.
Yeah, his knuckles up there.
Yeah.
Firstly, 16-bit Sega dude, incredible name there. Thanks for that. So it hasn't gone unnoticed. We need to get to this. We need the tattoo thing locked down by the end of the year. So we need to pick a week, and it's going to get harder and harder to find one where you two properly discuss. Maybe it's right at the end of one of the pods for the people that don't want to hear it, but I can't imagine not wanting to hear it. That's the thing. Like I can't wait to see where you two end up. Like
I've got some ideas. I think it'll
have
be,
you really?
yeah.
You've been working on it. How about you, Matt?
No, I haven't thought about it.
Shit. Okay. Have you spoken to Jill yet?
No, I was going to do it on an episode. Just
Yeah,
haven't
but
done
we
it
keep
yet.
telling you that James has done it off pod.
I know, he really ruined it.
Okay.
That's it for feedback. Go to tcgs.co/deartcgs. Leave your feedback.
I gotta say, James, after last week, you better step it up. Sarah was incredible on the news.
Yeah, man.
Like proper on it. First
Segways,
time,
research, homework, a lot.
Yeah, you are getting replaced if you keep this up, baby. So, James, what's in the news?
Okay, so Gamescom happened this week.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was.
Last week, yep.
I mean, there was the bit where Jeff Keeley's stage got invaded.
Again,
Yeah.
I know.
Okay, this is amazing because here's what's weird. I was away last week, obviously. I was in Wales and we were in a wood, right? And it is nuts how, like, there's a place in the world where you can't get anything. There was no reception, no Wi-Fi. It was mental. I felt like Bear Grylls. And you'd maybe get a little bit in the morning where you'd wake up and Twitter would have updated or whatever. So I did that. I looked at it and I was like, oh right, literally no one's talking about Gamescom. But by the sounds of it, some stuff was announced. James?
I completely missed all of it, and yeah, other than a few people sending me the odd trailer, there hasn't been any. Oh my God! Look at this announcement.
What was the stage invasion then? It wasn't the same guy, was it?
No, it was some guy came on the stage and said that he wanted to play GTA 6, and then.
But it's a thing that he does, isn't it? Apparently, he's done it at other shows and stuff. He's a really funny guy.
Oh,
I wonder
that's
whether
alright,
it was a
isn't it? That's
setup. I
harmless.
wonder if it's a setup where this is like, Keeley's organised this. He knows the show's not going to be that great.
If it was a setup, then this isn't me taking the piss out of Keeley. I think he handled it really well, but he was clearly thrown by it initially.
Really?
Yeah, it's quite uncomfortable to watch. Like
The security is so shit. It happened last year. Why would they not try and do something to
No,
stop
it
this
was
happening
it was at the Game Awards, wasn't it, last year?
was it?
Yeah, it was the guy that got on and started shouting when someone won Game
about
of
the
Game of the Year
Clintons or
award.
something, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was,
Jesus.
yeah. He's been on podcasts since. He's a bit of a twat, but getting on stage and saying I want to play GTA 6, and that's quite funny, isn't it?
It's if you watch
Jeff
it,
Keighley
it's
didn't
just
think so.
all a bit uncomfortable and weird.
Oh, is it?
Um,
Okay, fair enough.
But yeah.
But yeah, I mean, there wasn't a huge amount. I mean, I've put the story in our doc, to have a look at to see if there's anybody found anything they were interested in. I mean, there was a couple of things that I thought looked good. I mean, Little Nightmares 3, that was a nice surprise for me because I've enjoyed both of those games that before. Although, it's being made by Supermassive this time rather than the original developers, because the original developers are the other two have finished with it, and so now they've given it to Supermassive. But it should be a good fit. I mean, they made terrible horror games, so it does kind of fit. With
Wait,
that
what did
somehow.
Supermassive make again?
They did like all the Dark Pictures anthology games.
Oh
and
God,
those.
yeah, of course, yeah.
I've played all of them.
And that, yeah.
Yeah. So there's that. I mean, Sonic Superstars. They showed that off again, and there's loads of shitty friends, and it's also developed by Balan developers. I'm not very optimistic about that one, but
I still think it looks good. I still think there's potential, but who knows?
Cyberpunk. Anyone interested in going back to that? Probably
Yeah,
not.
man.
You were the
I
biggest
am,
fan
just-
of it, Sean, I think, weren't you?
Well, the only one who finished it, I think, right?
Oh,
I
I
don't know
finished
if
it as
that
well.
technically.
James
Oh, did you
finished
finish it?
it.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, I
couldn't
did.
remember.
Yeah.
No, I'm excited to go back. Well, A, I think the new stuff looks cool, and B, I think what it does brackets fixes in the original game looks really interesting as well. So I'm keen.
Yeah, I would love to go play it, but just there's no time right now for this.
There's
But,
time is an issue.
I wanted to go back to it anyway because obviously I didn't really properly give it a go. There was that trial, I think, around last Christmas, and I gave it a bit. But now with all this, as Sean said, not just this DLC, but all the massive improvements it brings, it was like a great time to go back to it. But I can't see it happening this side of Christmas, really.
That's the problem. I mean, because Starfield's coming out soon, and there's a lot of stuff coming out at the moment. So it's one of those things.
I mean, I know we've not really had this discussion. Are any of you fussed about Baldur's Gate 3?
I would like to play it. I want to see what the fuss is about. I mean,
it
obviously,
is
wait for the
really
console.
John Denton has been raving about it to me.
Oh, is he? Cool.
But there's two factors of it that I just don't know if I could get over.
Mm-hmm.
One, the fantasy setting.
Yep.
Two, turn-based combat. The two things that really don't usually click with me. And
See,
having
I
to
could
wait for the
deal-
single game. I'm like,
I could deal with the fantasy side of things, but the turn-based combat is a bit of a turn-off. But then I don't know,
What?
how it's implemented.
Mr. Advance Wars?
Yep, that's different. that's a
And
strategy
Fire
RPG.
Emblem.
The strategy RPG, which is
Mr.
different.
Paper Mario.
Again, slightly different.
Okay, they're just ones that you allow. Right, okay, gotcha. Fine. Okay.
I mean, I did see. Did anyone see that game called Dustbin? Because I thought that looked
No.
interesting.
Sounds good.
They're
though.
running out of ideas for names for games now, aren't they?
It does feel that. I mean, it's a
let's
cell
see.
shaded game that looks a lot like Hi-Fi Rush.
Hang on, you mean
And-
Dustborn?
That may be true. I think that my autocorrect may have done something with that.
Then what's it, Dustbin?
I love Dustbin.
Could you imagine working on that game? And saying, I wonder if TCGS are going to talk about us this week. Oh yeah, let's listen in. Oh, that Dustbin game, that sounds great.
Man, that's terrible. I can't believe I did that. That's terrible.
Well, we've got the episode title.
Dustbin.
Dustbin.
Have you all seen the trailer for Thank Goodness You're Here?
Yes.
That was the one that was being sent around. That was very good fun. Have
I
a
haven't
look at
seen
that.
any of this stuff.
See, I've seen
mean,
it, but I don't know what it is.
I was going to say, yeah, it's one of those trailers where you're like, well, I really enjoyed that, but I don't know what it was. I don't know what the game
right.
is, but have a look.
And then the only other thing was Alan Wake 2. I mean, I don't know why, but I'm not interested in this, even though I really enjoyed the first one. But it just feels, again, like it's coming out at not a great time when there's loads of other things coming out.
Is it
at
out
the same
soon, is
time.
it?
It's very soon. Yeah, it's
It's out
coming out.
end of October, yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like we only just found out about it, but that's, yeah.
But yeah, it just recently got pushed back to avoid other big games, assuming
Right.
Starfield. But yeah, it's 25th of October. Maybe by that point, maybe we're bored of Starfield or other games we might have cleared.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, yeah, as I said, I really enjoyed the first one. I mean, I played it on 360 and it was great, but I don't know, for some reason. Anyway.
You're missing the Sonic stuff. I
I
thought you'd
didn't.
be all over
You
the
mentioned
Sonic
it.
stuff.
I did Sonic Superstars.
Oh, sorry, I missed that.
Yeah.
So, but there's also what Sonic Frontiers update, is there?
The
DLC.
DLC,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's just last one, isn't it? I don't know what it is. I don't care.
Have they already released loads? I've totally missed that. Man,
Yeah,
I liked that
they've-
game when it came out.
They have they've gradually released more and more sort of stuff for it, but yeah, I've
I
not
did
gone
play it
back to
about a
it.
month ago and went, wow, there's still tons of popping.
Yeah, they didn't fix any of that. That's not been done.
No, it's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I
Okay.
think it's fair to say that Jeff Keeley trying to temper expectations was the right thing because yeah, this is mostly updates and
Matt thinking
things.
that he did. Jeff Keighley did something right. That's breaking news for the show.
When Jeff
isn't it?
Keighley does a
saying-
shit show, at least he warns you first.
But yeah,
Did he
I
do
didn't really
that
hear-
again before the not
He
E3
seems to be
stuff as well?
Constantly doing that. Yeah.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
saying tempering expectations.
Yeah.
But so no
Yes.
one saw anything else that was of interest at all. Like no one was really bothered.
I haven't
thought
seen
it's
any
just
of this stuff.
a bit of
no.
a weak show. I mean, I saw a bunch of trailers and nothing really inspired me. I mean, yeah, it's just a bunch of updates. So I don't know what it says about things really. But Dustbin looks good.
Yeah, it does look very good.
Love a bit of Dustbin. Love a bit of Dustbin. All
Okay.
right.
Next bit of news is that Sony's handheld gaming device, the Project Q, has now got a proper name and a price, and it's the PlayStation Portal. And so, yeah, it's got it's the DualSense with all the usual stuff, the adaptive triggers and the haptics and stuff, and it's 1080p screen and all that. But
How
it's
much is it?
£199.99, which is significantly cheaper than I was expecting.
It's less than we thought.
Significantly. Well, I think it's the
still
price
too
that you constantly told me, James, that it would never be.
Because I just assumed that Sony would be ridiculous about these things, because they have recently had a track record of releasing things at very high prices, and so I just
But
assumed it'd be
never
high.
be, you said, over
I
and
know.
over again to
Well, I
me.
was wrong, wasn't I? I mean, it does happen sometimes.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
It seems to happen quite often, actually. I don't know if you've noticed. It's quite a running trend. I might buy this. Right, so I've been thinking I'm going to probably get something by the end of the year. And that
Quest
something
3,
was
man.
going to be a Quest 3.
Mhm.
But now I'm thinking it's £500 and I am not going to use it that much. And that is putting me
But
off
if you
somewhat.
buy it, you might think, fucking hell, I've spent £500 on this. I'd better use it.
I wouldn't count on that, Sean. Wouldn't count
Yeah,
on that.
yeah. Look at James's PSVR too. That shit is that shit got older quicker than the Wii. Do you know what I mean? So I'm thinking, like, I really do like the idea of just playing. And people. I was explaining it to the weekend. It was like, yeah, I like playing PS5 games, but I can't really play them while the kids are about.
I hate
And
this big, lovely telly I have to play them on.
Well, I just can't
I know.
watch it. I can't use that big, lovely telly because they're watching Spidey and his amazing friends. on
See,
it.
and I totally get that, because also as they get older, they're going to be using that TV even more, and then it's like, and also they don't go to bed as early as they used to, and it's like,
And I have put way longer into Red Dead Redemption because it's on Switch than I initially thought I
Yeah.
would. So,
Massively.
maybe having something to pick. Oh, it's bad, isn't it?
I'll tell you what, right? I'm really, really tempted by this,
Tell you what,
and
what?
was quite excited, right? But there's like one massive deal breaker for me.
Why
and
have you
that's-
got all aggressive, Matt? Where's this come from? Right,
I can
I'll
feel
tell
it-
you what, right? I saw
Because I
this
can
on the
feel
big
it kind
right.
of, come up, right? Because I think it
All right,
looks
it's not so
interesting,
right.
but basically this PlayStation Link audio thing is an absolute fucker where
it
you
is
can't
ridiculous. Yeah.
use. So
What's this?
you can't. It doesn't have Bluetooth, so you can't
okay.
use your existing Bluetooth headphones. It uses a new technology called PlayStation Link, which it's a proprietary audio thing in which they've designed to reduce latency. I think the earbuds kind of connect to your PlayStation, but they're like very quickly connect to this. Anyway, it makes it apparently a lot better. But that means I can't use my existing AirPods. It does have like a
It's got a 3.5
yeah, but who
millimeter
has
jack
like
as well.
wired headphones anymore? It's like what
Me.
is this?
Hello.
I'm
I-
using
I-
them right now.
That's what I use for my Switch. I always use
Oh,
my
right.
Switch wired because the fucking Bluetooth settings just a ball ache.
Why?
Like,
It's
it's
just
not
going in
as-
one button. Why you just press
Yeah,
it,
but I
connect?
don't
That's
want
it.
one button. I want to just put my headphones on and play the
One-
thing.
Anyway,
No
well,
buttons.
I use my AirPods on my Switch and it's fine. But what am I going to have to
Really?
buy? Yeah, because it's
Yeah,
just
I
going
do
to
that as
Bluetooth
well.
and just hit
Yeah.
like connect and that's it.
Okay.
Anyway, but this basically means I need to buy the 200 quid headphones as well. So it's now a 400 pound
It
device.
means you
So
could get some like £20 wired ones.
I
Yeah.
don't really
Or-
want wired. I don't want wired headphones. I just
Why?
want to use my existing headphones.
Just get some Cost Porta Pros.
I'd
you'll
never
look
do that. Sean.
Cool as fuck.
Matt,
I just
all
think
would
it's a bit-
say-
Everyone will
That's
be
a
like, why are
piss
you
take.
wearing those?
all I'd say, right?
I think that's
is-
I mean, this sounds like a great device, but that's a piss take.
doing
Yeah,
it now.
if the latency thing is a real issue, okay, I get that they're trying to fix it, but why not use Bluetooth? There's millions of Bluetooth headphones, so why do I have to now
it
buy
is
their
bollocks.
new 200 quid Bluetooth headphones if I want wireless audio?
I get that. But I've got a few questions for you. Firstly, AirPods. How many like existing connections can you have to them then?
Well, you can.
How many
sync or
devices
connect.
can you?
As many as you
I
like.
don't. I want obviously a bunch of Macs, but like I just put them on my ears, press connect on the Switch, and they're connected.
Okay, right. I need to try that then on the Switch. But what I'm thinking is you will always be holding that device in your hands. You will always be. Your ears will be about 300 mil away from the device, like at all times.
Yeah. But
it's
if
not
other people
really,
in the
you don't
lounge
really need
watching
wireless
TV, they
headphones
don't want to
for
hear the game, and I don't want the game on super
No,
low
he's-
volume,
he's
so I
saying
can't
you
hear
that.
can
it.
But I'm
use
just
wired
saying,
headphones,
wired
surely.
headphones.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna have to buy
Also,
wired headphones. It just,
You know
no.
that somebody's going to release one of those things as well that you just plug into the jack and it gives you Bluetooth as well.
I know they
Yeah.
will, but it's like one other thing I've got to hang off the back of this thing.
Well,
Like,
no,
why
don't
not
do-
just
why would you
adopt
ever
Bluetooth
do
fucking
that?
headphones?
Wait, sorry, hold on. Why would you ever use a Bluetooth dongle? Why wouldn't you just use wired headphones at that point? If you've got something hanging out the back of your console anyway, you
Don't
might
want
as
the
well.
cable everywhere.
I love how what is clearly a shitty decision from Sony has become
Yes.
all of us having to go at Matt.
I know, it's like, why not adopt
Here's
Bluetooth?
one thing, Sean. Here's one thing, Sean. He's
Yeah.
just went, well, I'm not getting wired headphones. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. He's wearing wired headphones now. Like, I don't understand what the big deal
You know,
is.
but
still
I'm just
use
like
them.
sat on my chair podcasting. But if I'm on the couch, I want to relax with my existing headphones. I don't have
And
to
you
buy
can't
new
do
ones.
that with the wired.
I don't have to buy. I have to like. I don't want to disconnect this just to play on my thing
Listen,
downstairs.
In the
Use
80s,
my fucking Bluetooth audio device I've had for years.
everyone managed in the 80s.
They do.
Right.
It's not the 80s though, Sean.
Frankie said relax, and they all managed with wired
Oh,
headphones.
I think
right?
it's a fucking piss take, frankly.
It is
I
a
still
piss
want- I
take.
still
It
want the
100%
device.
is a really
So
shitty move.
It's,
It's like
ridic-
them
it's
saying here's like
ridiculous.
MMC
but
again. Here's it's just. What?
It's ridiculous, but calling it a deal breaker is a bit much.
Yeah, I do agree.
Well,
with
yeah, but no,
James
if I
there.
want wireless audio, I'm gonna have to buy the £200 headphones. Do you know what I think? That's a bit of a piss take.
Yeah, but nobody's forcing
that
you
is
to
a
do
mistake.
that. It's like
Well, okay, well,
just
so-
use wired if you want.
But I don't want to. It's 2023. I think.
It's 2023. I
just think
love
it's
the
a
fact that
joke.
you're saying this with wired headphones on. Like, that's the kicker for me.
But I'm not gonna like disconnect all this just to put it downstairs. I just want. My AirPods are on me all the time. Like that's.
Right.
And so, I don't know.
See, what I do with my
This shouldn't be
Switch is
attacking me. You
I've
should be
got a
attacking
cheap-
Sony for having a shitty anti-consumer practices.
I've got a cheap pair of wired headphones that I just constantly have connected to my Switch. So it's like that's why I don't see the problem because I just pick them up and stick the headphones in. But
Yeah, it's, I
I
think it
do-
looks great apart from that.
yeah, I fucking want one. I think this.
I
might
would get
be
loads
the
of
thing
use
that
out of it. I
get.
know that for a fact. I mean, I know people
That's
say, oh,
it,
it's only
isn't it?
1080p screen and this, that, and the other. But
fine.
Yeah,
you know,
but at that size, it doesn't need to be any higher resolution than that,
It
does it?
doesn't.
No.
It doesn't. I am tempted. I'm tempted. It's way cheaper than I thought it was going to be.
well, that's the
and I
weird thing,
s-
isn't it? We were all expecting it to be 300 quid. Now 200 quid seems cheap, even though 200 quid for a
I
machine
wouldn't
that
say
only
cheap,
streams your
but-
PS5
Yeah,
isn't cheap.
yeah.
It's just like, well, this
Yeah,
was
no, it isn't
200
cheap,
quid's
you're
fine now because we're
Yeah,
expecting
you're right.
300.
It will be. I mean, we mentioned this before. It'd be very interesting to see if it gets hacked and there's other fun stuff you can do with it.
I'd be
then
very
suddenly
surprised
that's
if
a
it
very
was.
that's a very viable device for 200 quid. You can get
If
a
it is
couple
built
of
on
emulators
Android,
on
that's
it.
surely going to happen like within
Yeah, but it's going to have no
hours.
storage on it, is it? It's going to have next to no storage. So it's not
Actually,
like
yeah,
you
because
can
it's
do
not.
much
Gonna, yeah,
with
there's not
it.
going to be an SD card slot or anything, is there? Really?
No. There's not. There's
I think
no
people will
Take it
find a
all back,
way.
it's
They'll
shit.
find a way. Like people always find a way with this stuff.
They do.
Oh, I'm sure they're hacking. Yeah.
Nerds.
It sounds like you're in a fucking Star Wars film. Where did that come from? I like it. I do. It's ridiculous. It's a complete luxury item. But when you're selling controllers for £200, I'd rather have this than a fucking Pro controller or whatever it is. You know what I mean? This is the route I'd take rather than get one of those fucking things. So yeah.
You'd
I'm
also
tempted.
expect that eventually they are going to add the cloud gaming stuff to this as well, because otherwise it makes
Yeah, you would expect that,
It's an
but
open
then
goal,
you would
isn't
have
it?
to pay
It's,
for that cloud gaming, and really,
It is kind of mad. Like, I get you can't play PSVR 2 games, but you can't play their own like PlayStation Plus cloud streaming. I mean, whatever. Yeah, hopefully it will come down the line. It'd be mad for them not to do that.
It doesn't make sense really, because surely you could just yeah, you will be able to do that, but you won't be able to do it from another location. Ignore me.
But yeah, also a good thing about this is that it's been clarified that yes, it's just Wi-Fi, so it's not like you have to be on your home network. You can be on any Wi-Fi anywhere to play it, so that's also good. It's not
but
just.
that's the
But then
difference.
how
Is your
usable
profile?
is that?
Is your profile saved onto that handheld?
No, it's
probably
literally
No, it'll be
it's
exactly as it
literally
is
just-
already. This is exactly the same as it because you can do this already. You can
Exactly
like, use,
right.
use
Exactly.
your mobile phone to do this. Yeah.
It's literally your mobile phone.
Yeah.
Yeah, your mobile phone.
Your mobile phone.
It's exactly the same thing as that. So you're not going to be able to do the cloud gaming stuff unless there's a way of loading your profile onto that system, right? Oh no, you just log in. Don't
Yeah,
you?
you log
into your
Yeah,
console,
no,
yeah.
You're right. Yeah, that's what you do on the phone.
Interesting.
Interesting.
Rod in the chat has asked a good question. Can you just use it as an additional controller?
I was thinking that. I was like, this is very
You
Wii
would
U,
assume
isn't it?
so. You would assume so.
You would assume so,
Suddenly,
but you'd also
inventories
assume
and
it used
maps
Bluetooth
on that.
headphones.
I don't think you would be able to, because usually when you do that with remote play, it knocks out all the other controllers and everything as soon as you're
That's
connected to
true.
remote play.
Right.
So
That is true. So if it's using the same existing system, which
Yeah.
it probably is, right?
mhm.
Then yeah, maybe I'll wait for reviews to see how people find it before.
I mean, reviews will be out first anyway, but yeah, I am supremely tempted, and I know I'll get use out of it, 100%.
Same. All right.
Okay, next story is that Baldur. I can't
Baldur.
speak.
Baldur.
Okay,
Baldur.
Baldur.
Baldur's
Dustbin
Gate
Gate.
3 will be coming to Xbox this year, although split screen is being removed for the Series S. So previously, they were like Larian were not sure if it was going to come out this year, but then now they fixed this because they've removed split screen.
No,
from
they've had a
the-
chat and they're like, Microsoft's like, please. I was like, okay, how about ditch that? Yeah, ditch that. Okay, it's fine. It's
Well,
happening.
that's what's so fascinating about this, because there's two ways of looking at it. On the one hand, this is like the textbook case for making an exception. So for those who don't know, yeah, the whole thing with Xbox is like if you release a game on Series S and Series X, and you can only do both, right? You can't just release it on the X. And they have to have total parity in terms of features. They can look different, they can run different, but they have to have the same features. And yeah, so they've had this issue with Baldur's Gate 3 that they can't get the split screen play working on the Series S. Apparently, it's more to do with like because of the sheer distance you can have between the two characters, right? So it's just way too much to load into memory, etc., etc. Yeah, and now Microsoft has said, "Oh yeah, we'll let you take out split screen for the Series S." Yeah, but it's a textbook case for making an exception to that rule, right? Of the total parity thing, because it's a fucking massive game. Like just in terms of impact and sales and everything. Like it currently looks like everyone sort of viewing it as a PS5 exclusive, which it's not in any sort of paid for sense, right? It's just that they've had this technical issue, and it's not a feature that I think a lot of people will miss. Really,
Well,
it's
this
not
is it. I mean, this is-
integral.
Hang on,
This is
can I
what
read
got
the
me.
quotes? Because the
Hold
quotes
on
for this
one
are
sec.
amazing.
This is what got me, is that the Baldur's Gate stuff, I don't know much about the game, especially when we were talking about it when it first came out. I was like, I don't know if it's an action game. I didn't know, and I was like surprised to hear what the game actually was. And now I'm thinking split screen. I didn't even know there was any sort of multiplayer thing. Honestly, if it come out, there was a news story. It was like Baldur's Gate 3 ditches VAR and increases subs from 5 to 7. I'd go, okay, then. But, like, I really don't understand what the game is. Like, it's split screen. How do you play this multiplayer? I thought this was literally just like a.
Well, this is what I'm saying, because there are people
story
who
thing.
like there are people who are only playing this co-op, right? So like obviously I'm playing it single player, and it's like any sort of BioWare style RPG. You've got your characters that you meet, and then they can join your party, and they've got their own backstories and stuff that can play out. But there are some people who are just like, no, I'm playing it with three friends, and we are the party, and we.
But how does the chat stuff work?
But
don't
anyone
talk
can
to
go
someone.
up to any character and start a conversation.
But then it stops for everyone else, and then you've all watching the same
I don't know.
conversation.
I'm not sure how that stuff works.
But the couch co-op side of this, though, the split screen was a thing with earlier games in this series. Like a lot of people did that. Like
Hang
it
on,
was
what series?
Baldur's Gate.
Baldur's Gate?
Yeah.
Sorry, what did you
No,
call it?
they were all single player PC RPG. Do you mean?
No, with the
you mean-
console ports of those people
I don't think
did
they've
play
been
those.
James. I don't think they've been. Do you mean?
Are you sure?
Do you mean the
Because-
Divinity series?
I don't know, Sean. Let me have a look.
Because Divinity
I'm
series
pretty
are the ones
sure
that
these
Larian
not
made
out.
before Baldur's Gate 3, and they
Sean,
had
I love
co-op.
the fact that James can't handle like being wrong
it's just-
about
if-
something.
Is it
No, I'm just having a
Baldur's
look
Gate?
here.
Clearly, you know what you're talking about, and James doesn't, and he's now like you've gone.
Okay,
now I
so
think
the
might be
ones
further-
the ones
Are
I'm
you
talking
sure,
about.
Sean?
Yeah.
No. Okay. Look, for fuck's sake, I can at least question this because I know people that have played these, but it turns out that they played Dark Alliance, which is their spin-off
Right.
ones.
No, that's
Wankers.
that's
Wankers.
completely different.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like an
Yeah.
action RPG.
I know
spin-off.
people that have played them,
Hang on,
David.
wait a minute.
Yeah, one of them's
Also-
Sean, and he's here now.
Sean, also, it turns out, I mean, Baldur's Gate Enhanced
Baldur's.
Edition came out on PS4 and also Xbox
Okay.
One and Switch.
All right, fair enough.
Also,
know that.
Baldur's Gate 2, that also came out on PS4, Xbox
Okay,
One and
did it have,
Switch.
did it have split screen co-op?
I don't know, but they. I mean, are you going to apologise now, or
Yeah, I just said. I said yes. Sorry, I didn't know that.
Yeah, just
you
because
say the
James got
name
something
of the
wrong
game
about
again,
Baldur's
please?
Gate.
I can't pronounce this game. I don't know why.
Go on.
Baldur's Gate. It's Baldur's Gate, right?
Baldur's
Baldur's
Gate.
Gate.
Baldur's
yeah.
Gate, yeah.
Baldur's
I can't pronounce it. Yeah.
Baldur's. I call it Baldur's Gate.
Can we just
Anyway.
try something, James? That N64 Zelda game. What was
Oh,
it called?
fuck off.
Not
No,
Majora's
quick,
Mask.
go.
What is it called? Let's
First
go.
Ocarina of Time.
Unbelievable.
Oh my god!
It's unbelievable. How
See,
many
I
times
would have
has
said.
it been
See,
hit?
do you know what I want to say? Every time I want to say Ocarina of Time, but that's wrong. And then so I tried something else and it doesn't work. I cannot pronounce that game.
Okay, right, let's move on. Let's not correct it.
So-
We'll try again.
But now we've got
In a
another
lo-
one. I would
loads
say,
of- Loads of really
please
good
pronounce
reasons.
the-
Sorry. Go on.
Go on.
Go
No,
on.
no,
I was going to say, so loads of really valid reasons for Microsoft to make an exception here. However, is this just going to be the first of loads of exceptions of this sort of variety? Is the Series S now going to start losing out on, increasingly significant features going forward?
I think
Well,
for massive
okay,
games,
I've got some
maybe.
quotes here that may
Okay.
give some insight into this. So
Right.
Let's go.
Larian said they said we have no exclusivity deal that prevents us from launching on Xbox. The issue is a technical hurdle. We cannot remove the split screen feature because we are obliged to launch with feature parity and so continue to try and make it work. But then Phil Spencer said that's not true. And he said, I don't see a world where we drop at Series S. In terms of parity, I don't think you've heard from us or Larian that this was about parity, even though they just said it was about parity. I think that's more that the community is talking about this. There are features that ship on X today that do not ship on S, even from our own games, like ray tracing that works on X. It's not on S in certain games.
Hold on, that's
absolutely
not
not the same thing, yeah.
Of course it's not, no. But he's basically... So Phil Spencer has basically said, this is never about a parity thing anyway. Larian weren't even saying that. These things are not... he's trying to equate like split screen or a mode or something like this with something like ray tracing, which I would say I don't think you can do that.
No,
There's
no,
a
you
feature
absolutely
or
can't
there's
do
a
that. That's bollocks. Like,
feature or
and
mode are different, aren't they?
what's happening here is that they've come out, they've said this, and then Phil's on the defence. But
Yeah, he's
clearly
backpedaling on
talking
the-
shit. He's
Yeah.
clearly talking shit there. That's I side with the Baldur's Gate team on this one. Go on.
So then this also spinned out into this or spun out. I can't speak. Like, I'm still slightly jet lagged. Okay,
Oh,
so
here we
I'm
go.
still.
Here's the first excuse.
Here
How
we
we got?
go.
We're not even made it to an hour, and we've got the first
We
excuse.
started
Go
early.
on. We started early. Go on, James.
We'd
James,
normally
you know
still
at
be
the
doing
start of the show when
feedback
you
at
said-
this point.
You know, at the start of the show where you said you really missed the being on the show. How long did that last?
That's gone in the dustbin.
Great callback. Baldur's
Come
Gate.
on,
Yeah,
come on.
Baldur's Gate.
What were you
Was
saying?
that right?
It
Yeah.
was spot
Yeah.
on.
What were you
Baldur's
saying?
Gate, right?
Quick,
So anyway,
name
so
the
this-
Zelda game.
No, don't do it.
Is
don't
it?
do Go on.
Okay? Is it Ocarina? It's not Ocarina of
Half of-
Time.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's
someone
the one
say
that
it.
you said
Are you
last
doing
time.
it
and
on, are you doing it
everyone
on purpose?
I'm not doing it on
Ocarina of
purpose.
Time. Ocarina of Time.
Ocarina of Time.
Yeah, it's an ocarina. It's an
Yeah.
instrument.
Right, it's an Ocarina of Time.
Yeah.
Ok.
It's like
Oc-
calling it. It's
Ocarina
like
of
calling
Time.
it a drim. I like playing the drims. What are you talking about?
Okay, it's
Am I
an
right?
Ocarina of Time. Ask me that at the end of the show, and I'll see if I
Although
can
when you
remember it.
meet someone that calls the bass a bass guitar, a bass guitar. That's always thrown me.
Hmm.
You ever met those people?
Who does that?
Who does that?
Well, someone in the podcast world did it once, and it blew my fucking mind. But I will.
I did
not-
once
I'll
meet
not out them.
a friend of mine. His dad was like a proper embarrassing, like dad rocker type. He was like, "Yeah,
Yeah.
gonna go see Deacon Blue," stuff like that. And he was,
Yep.
and he one time he's like, I've been thinking about getting a guitar. But I really fancy a Les Paul."
Les Paul.
Uh,
James nodded. He didn't get it.
Of course I did get it, you
All
prick.
right, okay. Go on then.
What do you mean I didn't get it? Why did I not get it, David?
I don't know. It's just the way you did, like, just stay quiet, nodded and smiled, and I was thinking, I don't know. Go on, James.
Either way, so this whole thing has then gone into this usual conversation about whether the Series S is going to stick around or not, and whether maybe they're going to start dropping, this requirement for future games coming out. But then Phil Spencer came out and he said having an entry level price point for console sub $300 is a good thing for the industry. I think it's important. The Switch has been able to do that in terms of the kind of traditional plug into my television consoles. I think it's important, so we're committed. So he's basically saying he's saying the Series S is going nowhere, and that this is going to.
I think it's important as well, right?
I mean, hang on. There's two ways of reading that, James.
Mm-hmm.
There's going nowhere as in it's staying, or it's going nowhere as in it's fucking dead.
Well, it's both, though, isn't it? A bit, really.
I agree with him there. I think it is an important console to have out there. It's an important option for consumers. I think the waters are going to get very fucking muddy.
I think it would look bleaker if they hadn't, just put out the 1 terabyte one. Is that out yet? I can't remember.
The black one.
I don't think it looks bleak at all. I don't think.
No, that's what I'm saying. I think that because they've put that out, I think that's a clear statement that this is sticking around for some time.
They're sticking it. They'll absolutely stick around, but I think they're going to find it really tough when it comes to games like this and any games in the future where some features are in some games and some features aren't. And it's going to start to get, well, what can the Series S get? And that's a whole line of questioning that we'll have at our level, but consumers that have bought their kid a Series S, like, for example, it's not out of the realms of possibility that a EAFC game comes out without Ultimate Team on Series S, right? I think that's probably pushing it, and it probably won't happen. But as an example, you buy FIFA for your kid, and all they want to play is Ultimate Team, and they can't because it's got an S. That's going to cause problems for Microsoft, and
that's the thing. If it is just stuff like resolution isn't as high, it doesn't have ray tracing, all that kind of stuff. That's completely understandable. But like you said, when the modes are being stripped out, that becomes more of a problem, I think.
Yeah, and like I say, and in this case, I don't think it's a big problem. But it's just is this the first domino to fall?
It's
I don't know, Sean. I've known quite a few people
right?
playing split screen Baldur's Gate, in the past.
No, but you say that, and we take the piss, but what? I'm sure there's going to be someone out there that's pissed off about it. I mean, there's someone out there that's pissed off about everything, but
statistically, there have been Series S owners who were looking forward to this, or hoping at least that it would come with split screen play. But then it's disabled on the Steam Deck.
You've got a couple at home that have bought a Series S because they didn't want to buy the full thing because they don't use it that much, and they're looking forward to role playing game, playing split screen with each other. And it's I can't on my S now. I've got to get an X if I want split screen. I don't know. I think
then it's
the
like
waters are going to be muddy, but I think it is important for Microsoft to try and navigate those waters.
I think it still has to be a sort of case by case green light system, doesn't it? It can't just be fucking take whatever you want out, because then devs will start taking stuff out just because it's easier, not even because it's necessarily impossible. And it's not lazy devs chat. I'm just saying, financial realities of game dev and what have you. It's of course you're going to start pulling stuff out if it's not 100% necessary.
It's being brought up in the chat that now Sean has a Series X. He gives less of a shit about the failings of the S.
No, do you know, I was because I've not used it much since I got it, and then I was like, right, fucking Armored Core 6, here we go. And then just before it came out, it was like, oh yeah, it's 1440p, 60 frames on the S. All right. Doesn't really make much difference. But
I thought it was 30 frames on the S.
No, 60.
Okay.
You can change the quality mode, can't you, and stuff, but I assumed it'll be different on S, but maybe not.
Yeah.
Okay, and in final news, and hopefully final Microsoft news for a while with this.
In final news is quite a statement. I like that. In final news. I like it,
ever
James.
bit of news.
Yeah.
The nukes are flying.
And in final news, we're all going to die one day anyway, aren't we? All right. Go on.
In final news for this episode, the Microsoft Activision deal there's been more stuff which has happened with that, which is that Microsoft have sold the cloud gaming rights to Ubisoft to try and get around the CMA's complaints about cloud gaming. So what this is Ubisoft will have the cloud streaming rights for all current and new Activision Blizzard games over the next 15 years. and then Ubisoft can then license the cloud gaming versions to anyone else. And Microsoft are taking a one-off payment for this from Ubisoft, and and they're hoping that then what this will be is then the CMA will look at this and be like, well, we didn't have any problems with any other aspects of the deal. It was just the cloud gaming aspect, so that's been solved.
So they're funneling their service through Ubisoft, but how do they then bring that back to Game Pass? That's the question.
Well, because Ubisoft will license it back.
This is my question. So can Microsoft now
such a fucking
rent
weird
the license
way around
off?
it?
But then also, what I don't understand. Okay, maybe I'm being really dense here, which is a very distinct possibility. But can't Ubisoft just exclusively license it back to Xbox for their cloud gaming thing?
I assume they wouldn't be allowed to do so exclusively.
I think part of the deal has to be that it can't be exclusive.
Yeah.
But they're also in charge, apart from not allowing that, one would assume. But
yeah, so it might just be that it's on Game Pass.
What if they
and
only
on
licensed
Ubisoft's
it back to
service,
like Nintendo or something, and then didn't let Microsoft have it? That'd be the route I'd take.
That would be funny.
I don't know. I wonder. I'm not even going to say it because it's stupid.
Well, you got to say it now. You
say
started
it now, yeah.
I wonder if this is a way of getting Game Pass on a Nintendo console. Can you imagine that? Picking up the Switch and playing Game Pass games because they're funneled through Ubisoft.
Ubisoft can license their cloud thing to go on Switch. Yeah.
Shit.
It could happen. But yeah, it's October 18th, so we're going to hear about it in a month and a bit anyway.
Yeah, because that's the CMA are doing their investigation again. That's the deadline. But that's also the deadline for when the deal with Activision Blizzard and Microsoft runs out as well. So that's when it has to be.
So it might finally be over
in
a month and a bit.
It might finally be over, and I'd be very interested because the UK investigation can go one of two ways. Either they drop it all because they're embarrassed because they're the only one that did it. Again, I don't think they were particularly wrong to oppose it, but there you go. Or they go, well, we have to stand our ground now, otherwise we look ridiculous.
Double dude.
Which is probably the way they're going to go. And
Well,
if
I think-
Microsoft have found a loophole.
Like you say, it does look a bit weird and embarrassing because they're one of the few to oppose it. But it is kind of impressive how they've essentially reframed the discussion, right? Because no one's talking about PlayStation anymore with regards to this. Now, it used to be like, oh, well, PlayStation are pleading poverty and saying this shouldn't go ahead, etc., etc. Then it's not even part of the conversation anymore.
No,
now it's all the
no.
cloud stuff that previously none of us really thought was a big deal. But then the CMA's entire point is like, yeah, we know, but in 15 years could be fucking huge, and we don't want to hand Microsoft a massive advantage. But...
And this also indicates that Microsoft doesn't think that cloud gaming is going to be a big thing in the next 15 years either. Because otherwise they wouldn't have signed this away. Like this is they clearly think this is still 15 years off from becoming like the mainstream way that people are going to play games.
No, I don't think it's that. I just think they think it's worth this, any loss or any issue in those first 15 because they know in 15 it will definitely be massive. Where they'll take the hit for the first bit, they'll have a license back to them, but they know this is going to be the future. So
do you think it's
15 years, they're like,
massive?
Bang, now it's all ours again.
Do you think it's definitely going to be massive?
I think at some point for sure. I mean,
I still don't think not in 15 years even because you have to think about network infrastructure in countries and how it's still poor in like a lot of places. Like it's still not great.
You got to remember we were talking about this stuff back in the 360 days, and we were going, how many consoles are coming out because it's all going to be streaming from the cloud soon, and you realise actually still way down the line.
Yeah.
We're not there, and same with other technologies where you look at it and go, well, no, this is definitely the future, and it just wasn't. Like it didn't.
It's funny, isn't it? I feel like obviously, like VR, for example, has had several goes at becoming mainstream, and I feel like the previous attempts, like when we were little and stuff, and we sort of first became aware of it, and it was like, well, this is obviously not very good, and no one's going to have it in their house, and etc., etc.
Yeah.
And now I feel like technologies like that now have like a longer run at not really being mainstream, but there's enough of a nerd audience to sort of keep it going.
Yeah. Even
though normal people aren't necessarily getting involved yet. So like VR's still sort of going, but then some people are like, yeah, but this will be the best attempt yet, but in 20 years it'll be massive.
Yeah.
But it's not just going away like it used to. Do you know what I mean?
No, and I think it's one of those things where you get bubbles of creativity within that field, and that piques people's interest again. There'll be another. I think the next bubble of VR. I don't think it's going away, but the next bubble of VR will be partly to include AR, partly sort of half and half, and also partly advancing technology such as battery power and making those things more enjoyable to wear. At the moment, they're still horrendously, you don't want to be in a headset for more than an hour, no matter what console you're playing on. There'll be breakthroughs and there'll be bubbles, and it will bubble up again.
It feels a bit like 3D TVs. It's like they always have they roll the dice with those because they get some new technology where they feel it's like better, and then people are like, yeah, it's all right and not that great, and then they go away again, and then another 5 or 10 years ago, it's back again. Because they give it another try.
Again, that'll come back again. We'll get TVs where you don't need glasses next, and it will work well. But it's just weird. It is weird. Someone's just Scientologist in the chat said, "David, please stop saying bubbles. It's triggering James." The ex-West Ham fan. Is that it for the news?
Yes, that's it for the news. Yes,
we've got a heavy "What You've Been Playing" segment, and do you know what? This week there's been a big release. And one that Sean's really excited to talk about. But I kind of feel we need to hear from James because A, he always complains that he's at the end, and B, he's not been on the show for 4 weeks. So James Farley, what have you been playing over the past month?
I've played a whole bunch of stuff. So I played Pikmin 4, which I finished. Arcade Paradise, Disney's Illusion Island.
Don't just list them.
I know.
One by one.
But which
one?
Get
out of it already.
which one do you want me to go for first? What do you think?
I mean, you've played them. I've got no idea what you've got to say about any of them. So you pick.
Yeah.
Okay, I'd like to talk about The Expanse because that's the one that I've played the most recently.
Not that one.
The Expanse. Now, is this right? So is it still just the first 2 episodes out, Sean?
No, there's 3 now.
There's 3 now.
Oh, there's 3 out now. Have you played the third one, Sean?
I haven't yet, no.
Okay. James, have you?
Yeah, because I played it over the weekend. And see, this is I hate doing this because I'm going to do the thing I usually do. Where can I talk about stuff that I don't like about it before I talk about why I did like it? So there's some things about this. I mean, first of all, the episodes are really short. Like they feel very short to me. Like I had a look
2
at
was
how
a lot longer than the first one, though.
I mean, I had a look at how long I've been playing it for, and it said 3 hours, and that's like over 3 episodes. I mean, that's kind of crazy. And the only other thing that I was less keen about it is that it doesn't feel like there's much conversation in the games at all, which I felt is a bit of a shame. And I feel like I've done a lot of exploring, but not much talking with people. And for that reason, I don't feel like I've built relationships where there's real consequences with things that are going on. But then, having said that, I still am enjoying being in the universe because it's very well constructed. It really does feel like.
Does it stand by itself? Are you able to play this without having previously experienced the universe?
Definitely, yeah. I mean, I think anybody could pretty much come to this, and I think David probably would be a good idea to play because it's a good solid Telltale game. It just feels a little bare bones at the moment, but then I'm hoping that it's going to build up from that as
bare
time
bones
goes on.
In terms of what?
In terms of the amount of content within it, it feels, as I said, each episode feels very short, and then also I don't feel like I'm doing a huge amount in each of the episodes really either. There's been a lot of walking around, a lot of exploring, but not a lot of. The thing that has always been good about the Telltale games is the relationships that you build up with people and the conversations you have with them. And I don't feel that this has that yet. But then again, this is only the 3rd episode in.
How many eps are there?
5. But then
they're only the 3rd episode. It's not great.
You'd expect some connection to have developed by the midway point, wouldn't you? Really?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But then, I mean, also I'm a bit gutted because I didn't realise that if you bought the special edition or whatever, there's an extra episode, which is and I didn't know that, and so I'm going to miss that.
Oh, it's like the behind the storm. What was it? Do you remember that one? There was an extra episode before the storm. Yeah, they did that. Obviously not Telltale, but Life is Strange, and that was the best episode
that was
in the
Deck
whole
9,
thing.
wasn't it?
Yeah.
Who made this?
Oh, was it really?
But this is
this
is Avasarala content, Sean.
Yeah,
that's why I'm annoyed.
That's why I was a bit gutted when I.
Can you
realised
buy
I
it
wasn't
separately?
Don't know yet. Hopefully. but they're probably not.
They'd
yet.
be mad not to offer that separately. For
Yeah,
people.
surely. After the whole thing's over, like, hey, now buy this for $5.
Okay, right. So it feels like that is a review in the waiting.
Yeah.
Like you feels like you need to play more before you finally summarise that game.
Okay. Then also, Tears of the Kingdom, I finished that while I was away. And, I very much enjoyed the ending of it. But I would have to say the depths never get good. I don't think.
Oh, fucking, here we go.
You're absolutely right, James. They don't. I don't get it.
Come on. It looks like shit down there. The navigation is irritating. The enemies are
I
exactly the same.
I love the navigation. I thought it was really interesting.
Enemies are the
I liked
same.
it. I've spent many hours down there in the end.
Gloom's irritating. I really don't understand the draw. I really
Gloom
don't.
isn't irritating if you upgrade the depths armor set. Just run through it.
Yeah, mate.
But you didn't do that until after you completed the game. That's probably part of the problem.
Me?
Yeah.
No, I upgraded that before the final boss.
Oh, of course, yeah. That's what I had to do. I had to go out and then get the Gloom armor before I continued.
I had the armor anyway, but I wanted to maximum. So I maximum upgraded that. So I spent like 20 hours in the depths, farming.
No, I don't want to talk about Tears of the Kingdom for much longer. Jesus Christ, we spent about it. But I do look at that game and just go, oh shit, yeah, no, I just didn't enjoy the world as much as I did for Breath of the Wild, and that's the problem. Like the stuff that was better in Tears of the Kingdom, for example, the abilities, even some of those I was like, oh, I'm not using these anymore. Like the build stuff. You look at it and you go, wow, look at what people could do with it. I don't do that with it. I still float about on a hoverboard with just like one fan on it because it works, and it gets me through it. I could not sit there for an hour and build a robot. Like I just haven't.
Yeah, but you don't have
You can use auto build.
No, but you don't. But then,
what's so special about it after that? Because then you're just going, okay, I'm touching a fan to a board and going. It's like that's it.
And that's kind of where I'd agree with you though, because for me, like, the extra ways to interact with the world didn't hook me as much either. And so that's why the differential between that and Breath of the Wild was not as strong as maybe it could have been if I had been hooked by those mechanics in the same way.
Right.
And so, but overall, it's still a very good game. I still very much enjoyed it, and especially, the ending, brilliant, all that kind of thing. Yeah. But yeah, the depths,
the one part of the ending just still kills me, and Sean knows what it is, and you agree with me. And like that last bit is fucking so good, except for that last tiny little bit. It reminded me of Wall-E. It reminded me of the end of Wall-E, where I sat there and went, "This is a perfect ending." Oh no, they fucked it because they bottled it and Disney got involved or something. And what a disappointing way to end what is almost a perfect film. Yeah, I know what you're talking about, but we've spoken about Tears of the Kingdom for far too long. There's plenty more hours to talk about at the Game of the Year show. What else you been playing?
Also, I finished Pikmin 4 as well, and that is absolutely marvelous. It's one of the most well-designed games I've played on Switch, I think. And
it's really good, isn't it? I've still been chipping away at it, and I've done like as you said, because I think you'd hit credits a while ago, hadn't you? And now so presumably you now mean you've 100%ed it. Yeah. Because the credits are a fucking joke, really, aren't they? It's like, well, here's an ending. You've done you've done your first major objective, but it's about a third of the game, really.
I looked at the clock, and I think the post-credit stuff, I spent much more time on that than I did the main game, and it pulls that. Nintendo, though, it's that same. It's the Mario Odyssey trick, isn't it? Of you're not really getting started into the credits, and it's like, the risk-reward aspect of it is so perfectly balanced all of the time, but the best thing about it is even as the difficulty starts to increase, I never felt frustrated while I was playing this game at all, and time just flew by as I was playing it, and because of the increased number of different types of Pikmin and the different abilities they have, there are so many sort of tactical options that you have whenever you're trying to accomplish something, and it's wonderful, honestly. I had such a good time with it. I played it on the plane when I was flying over, and I played it for pretty much the entire flight, and then after I got there, for days and days I was just playing that, because even though it was about another 20 or 30 hours or whatever of content, it felt like after the credits, I just kept playing and never got bored. It was incredible.
Does it do much that the previous one didn't, or does it just do that but better.
It just does it, but better, I would say, and I think that's why it got like 7s and 8s out of 10s or whatever, because people were like, oh, it's just the same game, but it's so well refined that I'd say it's a real step up, from the others.
It feels like it. I mean, I say this having enjoyed previous Pikmins, but it feels like when like Witcher 3 came out, and it was like, I know the first two are meant to be good, but this is the one.
Mm-hmm.
That's what Pikmin 4 feels like to me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
pretty good.
And then Uncharted 2 was like that. What was the other one? Fable 2 was probably like that as well.
Yep.
I love that stuff. When you look back at a game series and go, oh, that didn't take off until that one, and that one took everything that come before it and did it right.
It's like Mass Effect 2, isn't it? It's the same sort of
Mass
thing,
Effect 2 is another very
Hitman
good
Blood
example.
Money. There were loads of Hitmans before that, and they're all interesting.
But just convoluted mess. Yeah. Okay.
So then after that, I moved on to Arcade Paradise. After hearing you
What
talk
a
about it,
game.
David, on the show for ages, and I got totally addicted to it as well.
It's fucking brilliant, isn't it?
And I spent a lot of hours on that game. And
Yeah.
in the beginning, I even enjoyed
the beginning.
There we go. Yeah, I even enjoyed the washing mini game. Like to start with, like I spent a lot of time doing that, and I spent
So did I.
And I spent far longer doing that, I think, than I even needed to.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
for a while,
so-
I was worried that I still had to do it, though, as well. That I was going to get fired or something was going to happen. Even as the arcade was taking off, I was still
Yeah,
doing it. And it's like, that was kind of stupid. I mean, the arcade games are a bit hit and miss, I think. I mean, some of them
Some
were...
shit ones, really shit ones. But
Yeah, but then also
which was the ones that you really enjoyed?
So, Communists from Mars, I enjoyed that one.
That
That
was
was-
so weird. Is that the one? Is that the one where it's like where if you foul, it's like Paris destroyed,
Yes.
4.8 million people dead. It's like, what the fuck? It's really creepy.
It was, I mean, it's Missile
London
Command,
destroyed.
basically Missile Command, but but it's
Yeah,
really good.
yeah.
And then
It's really
Zombat 2, I really enjoyed that as well. I mean, that was
I
the
never got on with Zombat.
really,
That's the twin stick shooter.
yeah.
I found it really hard to get any upgrades and stuff in it.
Mhm.
Like it took far too long to get going for me.
Mhm.
So yeah, I never really got Zombat. What about Wood Girl, the chopping one?
The
you
chopping
got
one I
chopping.
liked, but the
So good.
RPG kind of style one, I was not a fan
You
of.
kidding
that
me?
one.
What with the match and free
With the match free
thing?
stuff, I didn't
Oh,
get
I
into that.
finished it. I finished
Really?
that game. Yeah, yeah. I got fucking obsessed with it. It's so
Okay.
good. It's so good. And the mute. Did you spend a lot of money on the mute?
I did, yes.
Jukebox?
Yeah, because the jukebox
It's
was
so
brilliant as
good.
well. Yeah,
Some of the music on there is mind blowing.
especially where you're just on, you're playing a game and you got this like synth like music going in the background, and it's so good. It's really really good. It's such a weird game because, especially probably about 2/3 of the way through it did start to feel like work to me, like playing the game. I felt like I was just it didn't, and I wouldn't say it wasn't fun, but it started to feel like work, and then I kind of broke through into enjoying the arcade games
And then
a bit
you're on
more.
a downhill slope from there, where you go,
Yeah.
oh, I've got way more hours in the day now. I've got way less boring
Mm-hmm.
tasks to do. Like you pay for someone to empty the hoppers whenever they, so the money basically goes directly into your bank, so you don't have that task of going to every single arcade twice
Yeah.
a day to take the money out, and then. So you've got way more time to go, right, I'm going to do my to-do list. I'm going to then play a game that I'm really enjoying to try and get all of the goals on it. Yeah, that shit is great.
But
It's
also
also
the
got a
story
really good
stuff's
darts
pretty
game,
good.
right?
Yeah,
The story stuff's incredible, right?
Yeah.
It's really good. Like the battle that you're having with your dad and your sister getting involved, and then an old school friend, and then Sam that emails you every time you go
Yeah.
on a particular game. There's like a kid that emails you going, "Yeah, I got your email address, so I just want to let you know that I've beaten your score." Like, fuck you. So you go to that machine, you beat his score, and then the next day you'll have an email. Yeah, I've done it again. Here's my new score, and you're like, "Fuck off!" Like all that stuff. And then did you notice that I know it's a bit of a spoiler or whatever, but did you notice that the street was getting more and more developed as your thing?
But-
It's so cool. It's such a nice touch.
I mean, I only really noticed that because you mentioned it, and I was like
Oh,
looking
right,
for
right,
it,
right.
and it's
Yeah,
like
yeah,
you
yeah.
start to see like buildings getting developed, and then like other
And
places
then by
being
the end of
opened
it, once
and
you get the
stuff.
sign, it's like a beautiful street.
Yeah.
It's really fucking cool. Yeah,
it's-
and
it's
that
really
weird
excellent.
story bit in the middle.
Mhm.
That was weird, wasn't it? With
Yes.
the boxes.
Yeah, that was. I mean, I enjoyed that a lot though. I thought that was really cool, especially like
Yeah.
when you go back and then it's just like, oh, okay, it's you could
yeah.
see what's going to happen, but it was still really well done. I
Totally.
thought. Yeah.
Yeah, really well done. Yeah, high quality that game. What did you play on?
Switch. I mean, I've
it-
only played Switch for like the last
Did it
4 or
run
5
well on
weeks.
Switch?
Yeah, it's fine, absolutely fine. Yeah.
Brilliant. I mean, that's perfect for Switch.
Yeah.
I played it on Xbox, and it sort of took over my life for about 3 weeks. It's such a good game.
I mean, it plays a bit better than the other game I played, which is I've not played a huge amount of this, but I played Vampire Survivors on Switch as well.
Oh, yeah.
Oh
And-
no!
Because that came
Good
out and it was
tell us.
like it was only like £3, £3.79 or something like that. So I
Yeah,
thought,
yeah,
I
it's
don't know,
it's
give it a go.
cheap.
Amazing.
It's I mean, obviously it's still Vampire Survivors, so it's still really good. But it really, I mean, I've only completed one stage so far, and this is the first time I've ever completed a stage. But it was really chugging on Switch when it got to like 25
Really?
minutes. Yeah, and I just wonder whether is that just Switch, or is that on everything, or is everything
No,
usually fine?
it's flawless on everything else.
Okay,
Yeah.
then I need to post the video I've got because it was like
Really?
it was crazy. Yeah, like it was really
Because
crazy. that was.
it did recently. It's moved to a new engine, hasn't it? I can't remember what it's on now.
Unreal
but-
Engine 5.
I mean, I think that might actually be, or it might be an Unreal. I genuinely think it might be an
Full
Unreal
ray
Engine.
traced,
Um,
realistic graphics.
But the
yeah,
amount of
apparently
calculations
that's supposed to
game has
alleviate
to do.
performance, but
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's it.
yeah.
I mean, it's calculating your damage output, the amount of enemies that again, and each of those enemies has an invisible life bar. So it's calculating each of those enemies' health. It must be doing so much that I'm not surprised that the Switch can't handle it. That sounds.
Yeah, I'll
Yeah.
post the video I got because it was, but it's still cool because it's like you're standing there and basically you've become invincible because the
Yeah,
powers
yeah.
you've got are just like nothing can get close to you.
Yeah, that
it's
game
pretty
gets
cool.
wild when you
does.
get to the credits. Like just before you get to the credits, it does some stuff that you kind of going, "Oh shit, there's more to this than I ever
Yeah,
imagined
yeah.
there would be." Yeah,
and it
pretty
works
cool.
like because it looks the way it does and stuff. It's just slightly unusual things. You're just like, what the fuck is that? What's going on?
yeah.
It's
totally,
Unity.
yeah.
Unity. It's moving to not Unreal, but
Okay.
same thing. Both begins with a U and an A.
Okay. All right. Well done, Sean. You've destroyed Matt's gag. That's upsetting. James, anything else?
But then, okay, the only other game that I played, which because Asher bought this while we were away, and it was Disney's Illusion Island because I was
Here
not
we
going to
go.
buy this, and I thought I'd buy this.
Here we go.
I mean, he played it. I mean, he hasn't actually even finished it yet. I don't think because he got about 2/3 of the way through and then stopped, and I don't know why.
Wow, grounded.
It's I mean, it's fine. It's not amazing or anything, but it's fine. It's completely fine. I wouldn't say it's brilliant. I mean, there's aspects of it which are good. I mean, visually it looks amazing. Like it looks incredible.
Yeah.
And also, I mean, Donald is great as well. Like, that's another fun aspect of it.
A little bit of a spoiler, but there was a scene at the end of it that fucking made me laugh. Oh, it's too much of a spoiler. I can't say what it is. But he said something that proper had me laughing. Like games don't do that to me, but I was barely laughing. Yeah, Donald's my boy. Yeah, go on.
But I mean, the biggest problem with it that I felt, I mean, as I said, I enjoyed it, but it's extremely linear, like as a game, like extremely linear.
I would say it's about as linear as Dread was.
I think you're crazy when you say
Go on.
that. I mean,
How do you say that then?
so this is not. I mean, okay, so this has been described by. Has it been described as a Metroidvania like kind of game?
Yeah, because it is a Metroidvania. Yeah.
Because it's not really though, is it? Like it's
Why
not.
is it not a Metroidvania?
Okay, so first of all, as I said, it's extremely linear, which it
He's
guides
got
you.
notes. You can always tell when James has notes because he
What are you
repeats
talking about?
himself. You've gone back to the start. Go on.
It guides you by the hand, like everywhere that you're supposed to go, in the sense that it gives you like a waypoint of exactly where you're supposed to go next, right?
It does. Yes.
And there's no incentive to go around and explore anywhere else really at all.
That's not true.
It
There's
is
plenty
true,
of
David, because
incentive.
there's no point in doing it at all. Like,
There's
okay,
collectibles. It's a tick list, isn't it? It's
but exactly, it's a tick list, but it's not something which gives you like additional abilities or anything that makes that significantly changes the game, like at all.
No, No, it's collectible stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's to try and get 100% on something by collecting the most amount of, the little. I like the little Mickey ears are hidden places, and you need to go up to them. And then when you press a button next to the little hidden Mickey ears within the environment, all the team get together and have a selfie in front of it. I thought that was pretty cool. That's fun.
It's fun, but but this is the thing. There's very little sort of freeform exploration in this. Like you don't.
There's plenty.
There's not
bits.
because you don't. I know, but there's not because you just go. Okay, all you get is you get a collectible for going somewhere, but you don't.
That's
It
right.
doesn't encourage you to experiment or to try and find ways into other areas or anything like that, which is something that you get from Metroid style games. Like
So that's exclusive to. That's a staple of the genre, is it?
Usually, yes. I mean, if you think even things like Hollow Knight, it was similar to that as well. There is exploration with the idea that you're going to benefit from that exploration in some way, that your character is going to improve, it's going to become stronger.
If it's got exploration, which it has, it's got areas that you can't, like some areas are hidden behind illusion walls. Some areas are little challenge areas where it'll have a collectible at the end of it, and you've got to do certain things to get to the top, a little bit of platforming or whatever. So, but that isn't Metroidvania, but if you were to get like a new bit of missile or whatever at the end of it, that makes it a Metroidvania, does it?
It does to me, yeah, because it means that there's a benefit to the exploration rather than just a collectible. That's the key difference between this. And also, I mean, one of the other things that you get from Metroidvania games is that you get that sense of getting lost in a world and the fact that you're trying to map it out and try and work it out for yourself, whereas you don't get that in this game at all. Like,
but
there's
Dread did exactly the same thing. Dread did the thing where you would move on. In fact, actually, I would say, and this is inflammatory, but in Dread, when I was playing it, you would move forward and you'd go, "Oh, I'll go back and explore. Oh, I can't because that path is now blocked. I have
Dread
to go
was
this
strange
way."
for that, wasn't it? Dread was quite linear for a lot of the game.
Yes.
Right. Whereas this doesn't do that. You can just go back and explore areas that you've just been through to find the hidden bits and pieces. So, if anything, this is more of a Metroidvania than Dread.
Yeah, but it's not though, is it? Because you're not, as I said, you're not exploring.
Oh, you're not getting a missile. That's right. Yeah.
No, but you're not. You're not upgrading your character. You're not getting like lost in a world and exploring and trying to find other areas. Okay. All you're doing is just picking up collectibles. That's it.
Yeah.
This is basically a platformer. Like you're playing a platform where you're being guided where to go through 90% of the game. And if you go off the path,
where you go because it's a Disney children's game. I'd say that.
Exactly, which is why I would not say that this is a Metroidvania style game, because it's not. You
have to get lost in Metroidvanias for it to be classed as a Metroidvania, would you?
I'd say that the exploration and the fact that you're upgrading your character is something which is a core tenet of of Metroidvania games.
So what would you describe? What genre would you put this in?
I'd say it's an exploration platformer. There you go.
Right.
I mean, that does sound like a alternative name
hold
for
on,
Metroidvania.
Hold on. Can I just So see what you think, Sean. It's an exploration platformer where elements of the world are locked off until you unlock abilities to go back to and get to those areas. Does that sound like a Metroidvania game to you, or
it does? Yes.
Right.
I mean,
it doesn't have. But Sean, have you considered that there's not a missile that you can?
I mean, you're focusing on the missiles, Dave, but you're missing the whole point of the atmosphere and also the idea that you're, as I said, you're.
It's got to have the atmosphere.
Yeah, it really does, and that's one of the things that those games have, and it's one of the reasons why I love them so much.
Okay.
I mean, I mean, you can try and gotcha me on this as much as you want, but I'm not going to agree with you about this in this way, because this is a very
platforming.
Fine. It moves very well. I mean, the controls are very nice, but then again, it's also very limited and very basic.
What do you mean?
It
gets quite complicated.
I wouldn't say it's complicated. I mean,
you've got moments where you've got to combine the swing ability and the flying ability and the stomping ability, especially in that last area. You've got to piece all these moves together to get through. I say it gets quite complicated.
Okay.
What is your problem?
No, I don't know why. I don't know what you're trying to do
this-
here, Dave. I don't know what you're trying to do. Like you're trying
Because
to.
I'm trying to work out. You've come up with this weird idea that this is
No,
not a
you-
Metroidvania.
no.
Because for some reason it's impacting on your beloved Metroid, like which
It's
is
not
just
impacting
weird
it at
to
all.
me.
I'm just no. It's not impacting it at all. I'm just saying this game is fine, but it's not amazing or anything. I don't know why you're getting so worked up about it.
I would say it's not. It doesn't excel in anything particularly, other than maybe animation, which I think really, I think it does. It's really, really good in terms of animation. I'd say character movement as well, and actual gameplay. I thought was not incredible, but it's an incredibly hard thing to do right, and they nailed it.
Yeah, the movement certainly.
I don't understand that this is not a Metroidvania argument. I don't get that. I didn't get it when you texted me.
NintendoLife.com. Illusion Island review. Disney Illusion Island, Mickey Mouse's Metroidvania is magical. Game Informer. Disney Illusion Island puts Mickey and Minnie Mouse, Donald Duck, and Goofy front and center in a Metroidvania adventure.
They can call it that if they want. I mean, I'm not getting precious about this. I'm just saying I don't understand. I'm just saying that as a game, it was far too linear for me, like to really enjoy.
Game Reactor, at its core, Disney Illusion Island is a Metroidvania platform.
They can, yeah, but that's what I'm saying. You can say this you want, but I'm saying there are grades to this as to how much of a Metroidvania this is, and I'm saying it's very, very only probably just slightly a Metroidvania.
Well, that's not what you said. You've changed that now because you said it was a exploration.
Okay, you're right. You're
platformer.
right, David. You're right. Obviously, yeah, it can only be one thing or another. It's like it's
No,
that's
it
what it
was
is.
you that was saying it was one thing or the other. It was you that was saying it.
Okay,
and I was questioning why you were saying it. That's the argument.
The
Don't
Gamer.com
and I was explaining
Disney
to you-
Illusion Island review, a simple but satisfying Mickey-vania.
would you
Is it
accept that
Mickey-vania?
description? Is it Mickey-vania?
I would describe it as a Mickey-vania. You can't get missiles.
There
so
we go.
It's not
It's
that
a
great.
Mickey-vania.
Yeah.
It's
The other
settled.
thing, Sean, and one of the arguments he hasn't brought up, which is why we should never argue before we record the pod, was James went, it's a bit too easy.
It is
And I
too
went,
easy.
Yes, because you played it on easy.
No, I played it on normal. I played
No,
it on
you
normal,
didn't play
David.
it on normal.
I did.
Because when you load it up, the default setting, because it's a child's game, the
it's a
default
Disney
setting says
Child's game.
at the bottom for a less challenging experience. That's
I
what
played it on the
option is.
default setting, normal. That's default.
Which says no, it's not default. The default is the easy version. It defaults to easy because it's a Disney game. It says for a less challenging.
David, all it
experience.
gives you is it just gives you one extra heart. That's it.
No,
That's the
how'd
only
you know that?
difference.
How'd you know that?
Because that's what it tells you on the fucking
Because the more-
screen.
No, well, it sounds like you didn't read the screen, man. Listen, all I'm saying is that you didn't appreciate this game because you thought, shit, this is better than Dread. I better
definitely
sort
what
of
I
take
thought, yeah.
another. Oh, my beloved Nintendo. Also, Pikmin is the greatest game ever made. Apparently, you beloved Nintendo. It's they've come out with a game. It's a fucking banger, and you're fuming. You're fuming.
I mean,
You're fuming
David,
about it.
come on. How many people think it's a fucking banger?
Me? There's a few people on, what was it, Nintendo Life? Did you say, Sean? I mean, even they're not that precious about Nintendo as you are, man. It's,
They gave
it's
it 9
crazy.
out of 10.
Yeah, I would say
Very good.
that's a bit much.
Nick Vogel.
honestly, just to save my reputation here, that's a bit much.
Well, I'm just saying, in his bio, it says when he's not busy playing games or writing, you can find him down at his local MMA training facility learning how to punish the unrighteous. So I think
that's
he's right.
John
I think it
Denton.
is an excellent 9 out of 10 game.
Yeah, good point. If I was reviewing it, I'd give it an 8. But if someone said to me, I'd give it a 7, I'd go, okay, you liked it a little bit less than me. That's fair enough. But do you think it's a Metroidvania? And they would go, yes, of course it is. Also, was there stealth segments in Stray? And they go, yeah, of course there was. And I said, well, let me tell you about my mate James. And they'll go, I don't
Again,
want to
it's
hear
about
it.
degrees
Sounds like
of
a
all of
fucking
these
idiot.
things. It's not one or the other.
All right. But you're saying it's one or the other. You're the one saying this ain't a Metroidvania because there's no missiles in it. Right, is that
Saying there's
it for the welcome back to the show? Is that
Yeah.
it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm
Okay.
also playing Pillars of the Earth, but I'll talk about that later.
What is
Not
that?
today.
You actually?
Pillars of
Yeah,
the
yeah.
Earth.
I
I remember you played the first bit ages ago, but
I did, yeah.
I'm intrigued to hear about that.
It was
hold on, aren't
reduced to £1.79 on Switch. So
That's how you know it's a banger.
And you're playing Tomb Raider game, aren't you, James?
Yes,
How
also,
do you
yeah, I'm
play
playing that
Tomb
as well, but I don't want to talk about that. There's no point.
The start of that
Sounds
game
like a
is so
sore subject.
fucking good. It's unbelievable. Isn't
The
it?
bit
When
with the
you walk
water,
into that
yeah.
market and everything.
You know that whole bit with the flooding. That was brilliant. I enjoyed that.
Yeah. I mean, it looks incredible. But okay, right, fine. Armored Core 6.
Yeah, 6.
Fires of Rubicon.
It's a Rubicon, yeah.
What a name,
Okay,
by the way.
Sean.
Hello.
Long
you should-
title.
Actually, there's a question that I want to ask you before we get into this. I've been playing this as well. Matt's been playing it as well. I'm playing PS5. Matt's playing PS5.
Yep.
Sean, you're playing
Xbox.
Xbox. So I know nothing of the background to Armored Core. I've never played a game like this before.
Same.
And I am not a fan of the mech genre, if you want to call it that. It's not a mech game. It's a platforming exploration game.
Yeah, it's a
Has got missiles though.
good point.
That's a good point. And you can upgrade them. But my question to you, before we get into the game itself, is what do you look for in a good mech game? Because the games that I have played have been so wild that I cannot believe someone could go, I like mech games. You know what I mean? Like, you've got the ones
Yeah.
where it's like, holy shit, I need to do a hell of a lot to get it to move forward. And then you've got another one which is essentially like you're controlling, which this is to some extent. It feels like you're playing an old school shoot. It feels like, at times, it feels like fucking Space Harrier, where you're not even feel like you're controlling a robot. You're just floating all over the screen and doing shit.
Yeah.
So
Well, this is
what
this
it
is
Hang on,
what
I
you're
was-
looking
Sean,
interesting because go on, sorry.
It's not a mech game though, is it?
We just did that.
Well, this is it, yeah. So it's like you say, yeah. So mech games, it's too broad a thing, right? Like because there are some where it's like, well, this is just a third-person shooter. There's some where it's like you turn really slowly and you got to be really deliberate with everything, like your mech warrior style ones, which are a bit more strategic. And Armored Core has sort of gone through a transition where it started off quite slow, and then there was like like everyone that came out, they're like, let's make it faster and cooler, and then
Right.
and then we had Armored Core 4, which was like you were basically flying most of the time. So then with 5, they were like, no, let's bring it back to basics. Let's get it back on at ground level. Let's make it sort of a bit slower and strategic. And no one really liked it. And then 10 years passed, and now we've got Armored Core 6, which I think is a nice sort of marrying of the two. But I mean, we'll get into that in a bit. But yeah, like I don't consider myself a fan of mech games as a genre because, as you say, they're not.
Oh, okay.
It's not really a genre, and I think Armored Core is quite unique in the way that it plays. I don't think there's anything else quite like it.
What's the uniqueness about it? What does it do that you feel it doesn't? Other games don't
It's
do.
just the way it controls, right? The fact that you've got this sort of, it's in one way it is just third person action controls, but then you've got all these different types of movement, right? You've got you running around, you've got your activating your boost, so you're kind of skating around, but you can fly, but then you're also constantly managing like your energy reserves and your ammo. And there's this whole thing of like every mission, like certainly with the harder ones, you'll probably fail it at first, and then you're going back to the drawing board and being like, right, how do I design a mech to do this one thing, right? So, comparisons to Souls games are sort of valid because it's from Software, and there's a bit of sort of DNA crossover there, I think.
Yeah,
but
definitely.
where
You can feel bits. Yeah.
I don't
but-
see
but-
that at all.
But whereas a
I don't
Souls
see
game
the
is
DNA.
like
what
Go on,
DNA crossover are you saying? Because I genuinely don't, and I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I genuinely do not see the DNA crossover between the Souls games and this. So where are you getting that from?
It's more in terms of like it plays very differently, absolutely. But I think it's just in terms of them being quite difficult action games where you are probably going to be reattempting things quite a bit, and you have to. Like it doesn't explain itself very well. This one probably explains itself better than any of the previous ones. But there is still, like, with certain boss fights, for example, you're just left to kind of do it over and over again, and you have to develop that ability to read what the enemy's doing and how it's reacting to like the weapons you're using or the strategy you're trying to use against it, and what's working and what isn't, and then you iterate on that with your mech designs.
Right,
and you try again, and then
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Yeah, the boss fights are very from soft. You bang on
and they
that.
haven't
Like, yeah,
always
'cause you're
been.
looking.
Like,
You're looking out for attacks. There are
Yeah.
clues to the attacks. You're reacting to that and working a way of countering that.
you see Ben in the chat saying, "I love it when the mech stops and chugs its Estus flask." That is kind of a thing in this one, Ben.
I
Yeah.
would assume that
Yeah.
is a thing. In
You
this,
have
'cause
repair
there's-
kits, and
Yeah,
have
like
to-
but also
yeah.
limited amount.
Yeah. So
Okay.
that feels a bit salty, but yeah, I mean that's kind of where the comparisons sort of begin and end.
How far into it are you?
So I'm at right at the end. Sorry, no, I've just started chapter 3 or act 3, whatever they call it.
Oh, I didn't know there's.
Chapter, yeah.
Yeah.
Does it come up chapter 3?
It says chapter at the top and like the mission selects and stuff.
Oh, okay. So I might be on chapter 2 then. Maybe I've just done I've done a couple of missions after the Juggernaut. You know the Juggernaut, the charging tank.
Have you
thing?
done Baltius yet?
No, I've not done Baltius yet.
Okay.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm doing the wall stuff, all the stuff in the wall.
Right. Yeah.
At the moment. So is that chapter 2 or is that chapter 1?
That's chapter 1.
Okay.
How
alright,
how
still
is the
very early on
narrative
it.
in this? Sorry, like is it
No, I don't
It's
know.
all done through codex.
It's which has always been like that's how Armored Core's always done it.
Yeah, sure.
And I'm not saying therefore it's perfect and they shouldn't change it. Personally, I didn't expect any different. But it's all just like very brief, like voice only conversations with like your character never speaks. I think the implication is that you're basically a fucking shell of a person who just gets shoved in a robot and told to do stuff.
You're working for very bad people, is the
Yes,
feeling that
it's
you're
very
getting.
clear that
Corporations, yeah.
it's very
There's a
clear that
mission
you're
early
just
on
being like you're just sort
I've
of
done-
being. Sorry, go on.
There's a bit of a spoiler here, but it's very early on in the game, so I
Early
don't
on.
mind talking about it. So, but if you really don't want to hear about it, don't. But there's a mission very early. John Denton, don't listen to this if you haven't done it. I know he's quite early on. There's a mission very early on where you are told to go and kill a trainee pilot. And you're not really told why, and then you go and do it, and you're hearing their voice comms going, "Oh my god!" What? Like freaking out
Basically,
about
just freaking
it.
out. Yeah.
Yeah, and you're instantly going, and everyone's talking like this, rather
I love
rather
that.
than
It's very Metal Gear.
It is a bit. Yeah.
yeah. So the narrative, I'm not really on board yet. Does that get any
It's
better?
getting interesting, I will say, but Armored Core stories have always been weird, not necessarily good. There's definitely like a tone to it. It's all a bit weird and miserable and
Yeah.
war
I
shit,
fucking
isn't
love
it?
that. I'm not, like story wise. Yeah, I'm in chapter 1. I'm probably like I don't know 6 or 7 like those mini missions into chapter 1, so probably not far. And yeah, I may not be getting a lot out of it kind of narratively, but I love how it's presented. I think I mean yeah, they're quite basic codex, but I'm liking the voices. I'm liking all these corporations offering you jobs. And hopefully you get to learn a bit more of those corporations because I think it just feels fucking cool.
They definitely start fleshing that stuff out because and it's weird because obviously one thing it's clearly trying to convey is that like you'll do a mission for one corporation, you're blowing up robots from another corporation, and then the next mission, the corporation you've just been blowing up are like, hey, you did a really good job at blowing us up. Could you do a job for us instead? And it's just kind of putting across how weird and cynical the whole thing is, right? Like, constantly being
I've already
hired by the
touched on
person
that.
you just
And
battered.
it's the game's constantly going, yeah, you're doing bad stuff, but look how much money you're getting for it. There's definitely that thing.
Yeah, and even like your handler, Walter,
Yeah.
clearly a prick, right?
Yeah.
And like everyone's like literally the amount of pilots are like, oh shit, your handler Walter's new guy, fucking good luck. Like no one likes him, so I'm interested to see where that goes. But yeah, how do we all feel about the helicopter?
The helicopter.
What?
It's like the
first
first
boss?
Yeah, the first boss.
Yeah.
The first mission you do, you fight a helicopter. I mean, that alone is interesting, Dave. Go on.
I
Do you not
do
even remember it particularly?
Yeah, it's the first
Not really,
boss.
no. Because
So,
it was. I would probably.
I thought it
over in
was
seconds.
like a bit tricky, but it took
Yeah, it
me,
took me
I
like
don't know,
4 or
like
5
yeah,
attempts.
4 or 5
Really?
goes. You should see the things people are saying about that helicopter, Dave.
Oh, right.
Streamers taking 5 hours to do first boss in Armored Core 6.
Because I was going to say something I went into this hearing it was very, very fucking hard. I think I've died twice on the Juggernaut, and that was it. And then the third time I'd done the Juggernaut, I took it down so quickly that they barely got through the bit where it was like, "Oh no, your mate's gone now. Now you have to deal with it yourself. Oh, he's dead." Like it's so I don't know what I'm doing because I'm not fully wrapped my head around the menus and what I should be doing between missions. I haven't fully, but I am not finding it hard at all. Some of the missions, right? Okay, so look, I really like this game and I've really been enjoying playing it. Right, I've got a few complaints about it. I don't think it looks particularly good, but we can talk about that later because I know that's going to be a bit of a contentious.
No, to be clear, you're right in terms of the level of detail in some things. I think like the lighting and like the design of the environments is really cool, but I know what you mean. If you look at anything too closely, it's like ugh.
Yeah, I went into this thinking FromSoft games look amazing these days, so I'm excited to see how amazing this looks and thought, oh no, this could have been done on last gen, in my opinion.
Oh, it's on last gen.
It was developed for last gen. So,
but I remember looking at it and just going, okay, not as good. I hate the mission structure. I think we should be so beyond. Here's a level, out you go, and here's a level. And for games like, for example, what was that? The speed running game on the Switch that I absolutely loved. I can't fucking remember the name.
One of the cards.
Neon White.
Neon White. Yeah. For games like Neon White, it's understandable. For a game like this, I kind of feel when I first dropped in there and I was doing the tutorial, I was like, well, eventually there'll be a big open world and I'm coming across these missions and doing get from A to B, and that's going to be really cool. But you do not do that at all. It's literally, here's a mission, you get to the end, you go back out, you go to the menu, you start the next mission. It took me ages to work out where start the mission was because I've never seen it.
Sortie.
Okay.
Bit of French, mate. Bit of culture.
Yeah. I googled it. I got there in the end. Coming out
it's not open world,
mode,
is it?
If you're worried.
No.
And obviously, this was because obviously with the success of your Souls games, everyone was like, "Oh, if they do another Armored Core, is it going to be like, is it going to be that sort of format? Is it going to be open world and you just got your robot and you just traveling and doing
stuff?" Which is more exciting to me, and it feels like maybe we should be there, especially with this game. But I'm really enjoying it. What's funny, James, is that some missions you go right and you spend ages preparing, you tweaking your robot, you're buying new parts, you're piecing it all together, you're painting it because why not? And then you start a mission and it's like there are 3 targets to get here, and then you go and do it and you go right, what next? Congratulations,
well done, back to base.
And I'm like, well, that was a minute. That took me a minute and a half.
Because what's strange is, so there's the helicopter, right, which I say is this first boss that you do.
Right.
I didn't have a huge amount
because I don't remember it.
I didn't have a huge amount of trouble with it. Some people are, and I'm not having a go. I am a little bit mystified by people saying it's taking them hours to do. I think there are some, like, it sort of relies on you kind of figuring out the stagger mechanic before the game has actually explained that to you, which I think is a bit
It's all about stagger mechanic and the blade, isn't it? For that one.
Or is this because you're playing it on easy, Sean?
It's just on the default setting, mate. Is that it? But then, and then you get like 3 or 4.
I'm just looking at it now. I did it first time. Yeah, without any problem whatsoever. Yeah.
Hang on. So and then you get like, I think it's like 4 or 5 missions, which, as you say, are just piss easy. They're just shooting galleries, basically. And then there's the mission where you go over the wall.
Though? Is it like, are there like main line missions and side missions, or is it just
a menu and you go missions and there'll be maybe 2 and you can select one of 2.
Yeah.
And then you go into that mission, you come out,
and then there'll be one. Eventually, there'll be one that's like, this ends the current chapter, which I assume means it gets rid of the other sort of non-essential ones.
That's what I was going to say, because when you say there's like, you have like a choice between which one you want to do next, like 1 or 2, whatever.
Sometimes there's literally just one to choose from.
But if there's a choice, can you go back and do the other one? If you
can replay any missions. That's one thing that's really cool, is that you can replay any mission as many times as you want. You appear to get the full cash reward for doing it every time. So like, if you want to just like replay stuff to either get better, because there's a ranking system as well.
You can do that?
Yes, when you replay missions, it gives you a grading, and I think you unlock stuff for getting like S ranks.
Yeah.
and-
Well, the way it words it's really cool. It's like repairs cost you so much, and that's clearly how much damage you've taken on the thing, and you know, so it sort of takes it off your final.
Well,
pay
that's
packet,
one
you
thing
know.
that's really nice because previous Armored Core games, so at the end of the mission, it's like, right, here's the money you've earned, and also here's your expenses for the mission, which, as I say, is repairs, ammo costs, etc. Certainly, I remember in Armored Core 4, a lot of the time you could basically incur enough costs that you lost money on a mission, which was
nice.
which was sort of interesting, but also
Yeah.
like, fucking come on, like I'm already shit at the
Yeah.
game.
Yeah,
Like, why are you
just
penalising
money.
me? So that cost thing is still in there, but I don't think it's never anywhere that severe as far as I've seen. But yeah, so
wonder
there's
what
this whole
I'm
thing with the
doing right
helicopter,
then.
and then it really sort of gets easy again. But
Wow.
now I've been on a run of like really quite difficult boss fights, but I am
Right.
really fucking enjoying it.
Yeah, I mean
Um,
when I took down the Juggernaut, the charging tank thing,
Yeah.
I was kind of like, this is making so much sense to me. Yeah, that felt really satisfying and really cool because
And that, like I say, that sort of twist halfway through. So for those who haven't played it, you start fighting this boss, and it's like, oh, by the way, you've got this other mercenary who's going to help you out, and he's basically drawing the boss's attention, and you're shooting it, and you're like, this is great. And then, about halfway through, he's like, oh shit, there's like more enemies are on the way. I'm going to go and intercept them, so you got to finish this on your own.
yeah,
Which, like, the first time totally caught me out because I was like, oh right, no, like anyone, again, you've ever played a Souls game, you know the difference it makes when if you've summoned someone, it's not even about them doing damage or whatever, it's just
So they're
splitting the
taking
boss's
the-
attention.
Taking the
isn't it?
aggro away.
yeah,
Yeah.
it makes a huge.
And he's been
difference.
doing that for you. So as soon as he goes, you're like, fuck, this like completely changes like how I've got to approach it, how I can because it's got like a big shield on the front of it. You have to try and get behind it in order to do damage. So you got to figure out other ways of doing that.
Right.
I think that that's really cool.
I think this game in
so I've got
general is fucking cool.
Yeah.
I've got a couple of questions for you as someone that's still on chapter 1 or whatever. Right, it feels like something big is going to change, either gameplay wise or something. Because there's I've just entered a mission with the stealth bots. You know, the stealth.
Oh yeah.
Right, and at the start of the mission, it says one piece of advice: expect the unexpected. So it feels like
It's
to
great
me,
dialogue.
there's gonna there's gonna be something big that changes things. Has that happened or no? No, that sounds like a no.
It's gradual. I think
Alright,
something big is changing. Yes.
Okay.
But I can't really explain without spoiling it.
Yeah, and
So, yeah.
also,
Hmm.
where have you been focusing on spending money? Because I only just realised like about 3 or 4 missions in that you're also supposed to be upgrading bits of the robot rather than just
Yeah, I bought a bunch.
Well,
of
this
them.
is the thing. You say upgrading, everything's a
or just
trade-off.
buying new things.
Yeah, it's
Right.
everything's suited to a certain thing or play style or whatever.
Yeah, but that's
So
not what
it's-
it says. So
Is it
in the
not?
menus, when
Well,
you're
no.
buying stuff,
Hmm.
it's kind of like I when I was reading through the bits and what you needed to buy with new body parts and stuff, it's like you will need this because you will be upgrading your weaponry and this can carry heavier weapons, as if to say the stuff that you used to using now will soon be kind of pointless and you'll need to buy better
no,
weapons and you'll
it's
need
the-
bigger bodies to carry it.
No, it just means everything's a trade-off. Like because so it runs through tutorials where it's like, here's the benefits of like reverse jointed legs, here's the benefits of like quad legs or tank tracks or
legs, yeah.
whatever.
Does
So
it? I haven't done that.
You know,
Well,
done
it
training
might not have
missions?
unlocked yet.
I've not done the
Um,
training mission.
Oh, the training's
I've
really good
unlocked
because
the
you also
quad
get they give you
legs
extra
and
stuff as well to
Yeah,
keep all
get more gear
cells. So
for it.
Okay,
training
I
missions are
should
great.
do
I've been
them.
doing them as soon as they pop up.
Mhm.
Whether I keep the
Right,
thing or
I haven't
sell
done
it.
them.
And it's-
Okay, I
And
should
again,
do
that
them.
stuff's like it's really basic, but it's just cool because Armored Core has never bothered to do that before, right? So unless you went online, you'd be like, well, why are there reverse? Like, why do I need these fucking chicken legs? It's good that stuff is in there. But as I say, I think there's some things it maybe explains a bit later than it should, like the stagger mechanic, because that is kind of essential for that helicopter boss. But yeah.
But no,
Apparently
actually,
not.
this
I don't
game,
know what I'm doing right, and it's freaking me out because I'm going to come across
You're
something
just good.
and I haven't learnt the game, and it's going to kick my ass, and I'm going to fucking go, I'm done.
Well, because what I like about it is, like Souls games, and again, sorry to keep making the comparison, it's sort of similar, but not really. You keep dying to a boss, you just like, well, I'm shit, or maybe I need to go away and grind for 3 hours before I can be strong enough. Whereas this feels like each boss is like a puzzle to be solved. And it's like, right, I'm going to change this gun for this gun. I'm going to I'm going to switch to these legs, and I'm going to try again. I'm going to see what difference that makes. And to me, there's a lot more fun in that sort of iteration with a boss and figuring out how to beat it, rather than just like, well, I just need to keep throwing myself at this until I win.
But could you get into a scenario where it's really not possible because you're not equipped properly, and you'd have to go back? Or
It
that first boss-
warns you of that.
Yeah, the first boss, you won't have money to buy a whole new set of things. You just have to learn the systems and get through it.
Yeah.
The,
Well, hang on, the helicopter boss or the helicopter boss? You can only have that default layout. Like for that mission. What is strange is so you can change your loadout mid mission. So if you die, so if you say you've reached a checkpoint before the boss and then you die, you can retry, or you can mess with your mech first. But what is weird is you can't visit the shop, so you can only swap in parts you've already bought. So general advice, like, buy everything that you think looks interesting or useful, because certainly in terms of weapons, because you might come up against a boss where it's like, oh, I can't, like, this other damage type would be really useful and I haven't bought a laser gun or whatever, right? So that's like it's a really cool system. Like, it's really good that they've put that in. So if you are midway through a mission and you realize your current setup doesn't work, you can change it. You just can't buy any new parts, which is weird.
Missions are very short, though.
They get longer.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So that would be a little bit more frustrating. Later down the line.
And because what's really interesting is, like, so yeah, you might have a long mission with like 3 checkpoints. And you might die at every stage, reconfigure your mech, do the next bit, die again, reconfigure it, blah, blah, blah. But when you go to replay it, if you want to get an S rank, you've got to do it all in one run, right? So you might have figured out several builds that sort of get you through each stage. But if you want an S rank, you've got to figure out one build that will do the lot.
There's a restock section every now and then, right?
Yeah,
Does that restock your health, your repair pack?
Yeah, it repairs you.
Killed me.
Gives you new. Go on, sorry.
The first one that I got to with that, I'd battled all the way. Basically, I battled all the way through the wall. It was the wall mission the first time you go up against that, and then you got to break into the wall. Did all of that, and when I got into the wall, I had a sliver of health left with no repair things, and I was bossing it, absolutely bossing it. I got done with a stray missile, and it put me back to the checkpoint. Was literally just entering the wall again. Like, it was put me back just a little way with 3 repair packs and everything. So I got through that, and just after the enemy that got me was the supply thing, and I just thought, oh man, it would have been amazing if I'd have just got that last guy, then because that feeling would have been so good that I battled all the way through with next to no life, survived, and then upgraded. Yeah, it was a shame, but that's that's a very unique situation.
I mean, the combat feels so fucking good.
It really does feel good. It feels fucking manic though, doesn't it? It feels really hard to, at times, it feels really hard to keep up with things. Like, the combat in this, James, is that you have a weapon or defense system on each of the 4 shoulder buttons, right? Plus you're jumping with X, and also looking around with, which becomes a bit of a problem later on when you're fighting a boss where it's like, you need to stay in the air for as long as possible. So you're holding down X to stay in the air, but also you trying to change the camera at the same time, and then hold down at least 3 of the shoulder buttons, because most of the weapons charge or they lock on by holding buttons down. So I'm jumping, trying to move, and also hold down the X and change the camera angle to face the enemy while holding down like 3 or 4 shoulder buttons.
We know you can click the right stick in.
Yeah, to change the targeting type.
Yeah, so you can.
Right, what does that do? Because I didn't know this. Go on.
So it locks onto the enemy and tracks it.
See, because it's funny, because I was thinking, has it got lock on? Because I didn't notice any.
Yeah,
But
it does.
it
Right,
has,
click the
does
right
it?
stick in. Yeah.
Oh man, what
It's
the
not
fuck?
like
I need to do this shit.
It's not like 100%. Like if an enemy just like dashes like right past you,
Right, you lose the
it
lock,
might
yeah.
lose it. But
Well, yeah,
yeah,
is that like if the enemy's in the middle of the circle when you fire, it will track them, but if they're outside, it won't? That one?
I think so. They have to be in the middle of the circle, and then you click the right stick, and then
yeah.
it does like a little like
Yeah.
reticle, like an extra reticle goes around it.
Okay.
But it's a long running joke in the community about like players developing like claw fingers over the controller.
I could totally see that. I mean, trying to hold down that many buttons and control everything at the same time is fucking But having said that, there are times where you just feel fucking invincible. Like there are times where where it's all clicking and you're dashing and you're watching all these explosions go off. Like Charlie had no interest, but Harry walked into the front room. I was playing it today, and just went, "Whoa!" Because there was a bunch of robots after me, and they were all exploding. And I've got that pulse thing, which is like it just looks incredible. This big electric cloud thing that goes up, and it's pretty impressive when everything's kicking off.
It's one of those where you're like, oh, I could do this. I could actually do it. Fucking plug me into a robot. I'll win wars, mate. It'll be fine.
That's the thing. Like once you've totally nailed the controls and you really know what you're doing with all that, it will feel incredible.
I don't know if you could ever nail the controls though. Can you, Sean? Am I mad? Because there are times where I was just thinking this is physically impossible to do.
There will be people who are just
but I'm not one of them.
Good. No, absolutely.
That's what I'm saying. There's people that can just do Guitar Hero on like ultra settings or whatever. I'm not one of those people.
Yeah, there's gonna be like
And it
speed
feels
runners and people doing like a no hit runs. It's gonna look amazing. I mean, as someone who doesn't
I'm not one
really,
of them
I've never
that
really
doesn't-
cared about mechs and whatnot. Like it does feel cool as fuck to be playing this game, to to nail combat or boss and stuff. I think it just, I having not really ever thought about mechs are cool. I just don't really think. Think of it like that. This game just feels cool as fuck. I love everything about it. The aesthetics, the combat, the dialogue. I just think it's a really, really cool game.
The music, bits of it, and a lot of it's quite, just sort of sits in the background. But like some of the boss themes are fucking great. It's really nice as well.
The sound is the best thing about the game, in my opinion. Like, the audio in it is incredible.
Yeah, because what's really interesting is it's Kota Hoshino, I think. He did the soundtrack, and he's always done the Armored Core soundtracks, and there was always this running thing of like, does he still work at From Software because he did the Armored Core soundtrack, but he's been like head of sound or music at From like ever since. Like he's always been there, but he's not done a soundtrack again until now. So yeah, it's been really cool to see him like actually doing music again.
But it's the little things. There's so much of it where there are bars everywhere, right, James? There's like there's bars everywhere. There's cooldown bars for your weapons. There's bars for your energy. There's bars for your boost power.
Stagger,
ammo, stagger,
all
health,
of that stuff. Ammo, stagger, everything. However, everything is also indicated with a sound effect.
Yeah.
So the more you play, the less you're even looking at your bars, because there will be obvious ones like where they go, your robot. Can't remember. What is it? AMC? What is it?
AC.
AC. Your Armored Core. Cool. Your AC is at 30%, so you know that you've barely got any health left, and it will say, you have 2 repair kits left. It will say that stuff, but there's also like little bleeps where they've locked on an attack on me, so it means that I need to dash to get away from that. Or there's little audio effects when you're trying to fire, but the cooldown's not done, even though the cooldowns are around the crosshair anyway, so they're always within vision. It's a weird way when you get in the zone of it. You're taking note of the audio, the visual cues, and focusing on how many enemies are in front of you and what you're doing and what you're trying to do, that you go, oh right, this is all working together as a high quality game should.
Are you getting? I doubt it, because no one uses this anymore. But you're not getting any haptic feedback at all, right? Like, as in, apart from just rumble.
Not
or
on
whatever.
PS5, no.
That's a shame, isn't it? Because you think for things like this, especially with like weapons and everything.
Totally.
If it'd be really nice if you get some like feedback through that. Yeah.
The triggers. Imagine if each weapon felt differently on the triggers.
Yeah, the laser felt different to the Gatling gun, to the bazooka. That'd be awesome.
There's one enemy on it that I've done so far, the Strider, where the weapon it uses against you is so fucking cool. that feeling that on the pad would have blown my fucking mind, and it does nothing.
It's such a shame, isn't it,
Absolutely
that
nothing.
no one's really doing anything with that. I mean, not even Sony are doing anything with that. It feels like it's
It's
just
weird. It is fucking weird that, because that is their selling point. But I guess they realise that they don't need to use that stuff for people to be impressed.
yeah.
They don't.
That's true. Yeah,
not
because
the,
they're winning anyway.
Well, that just makes it even less likely that Microsoft are going to bring out a pad. Do you not
yeah, I
think?
think you're right.
Mm,
I think
true.
you're right.
I think
it
it's saying
will
like,
be.
what's the point? Like, why would
Yeah,
Microsoft
Microsoft
develop it, sell it, to not bother like Sony?
Microsoft can look at it and go, the haptic technology is in Switch and it's in PlayStation, neither of which are utilising it anymore. So why would we spend
And
money
and it's
to
not
develop
like it's not like Microsoft. Like Microsoft are in third place, right? So it's
Right.
not like developers are going like, oh well, there's no point because the Microsoft players aren't going to use it. The Xbox players aren't going to use the Rumble stuff, so we're not going to develop it. It's like, no, the two leading formats have the Rumble stuff, and
Also,
developers
yeah,
still aren't bothering. Right?
And let's
I
not
don't know, it's
beat
just
around the
such a
bush.
shame.
The fucking technology is brilliant. Like
Mhm.
that's why we're
Yeah,
saying
yeah,
it's a
yeah.
shame. The
But for
technology
something
is
like this, if
fucking
you're like in a
brilliant.
massive robot, and
Yeah.
you're like, stamping around a field or whatever, that
Totally.
should be so cool, like to have that
Yeah.
feeling. But
Hearing
yeah.
each step, like feeling each step, each side of the pad. Like
one
is-
thing on that is like maybe it's because I'm early on, but I don't feel like I'm in a massive robot. I thought like there were like scale things where I felt really huge and cool, and I can see like buildings and human tanks and stuff. Like, oh, I'm obviously clearly bigger than them, but I don't feel like I'm in a massive robot. I think because the environments you see are huge, and most of the skyboxes you can't. A lot of them have also, kind of red lines to say you can't even go that way. It's not an invisible wall; it's a red wall to say you can't go that far. But the environments are so massive, but I don't feel like I'm in a huge mech at all, really.
Well, it's funny you should say that because I think it
Unless that changes.
it sort of brings up probably my biggest disappointment with the fact that this is a FromSoft game, and I sort of touched on it when we were talking about the mission structure, but you don't feel that you're in a world, right? You don't feel that you're in a comprehensive world. You could be walking along and you're seeing roads, but you look any further and you're going, where are these roads going? They're not going anywhere.
How
I'm
how
not
did
in a
anyone
world.
ever live here? Like,
Yeah,
clearly
they're
no one does
just
now,
aren't they,
but
really?
it's
Oh, look, I need to get up there, but it's too high up. For some reason, there's a jump pad for my robot to get up there. That makes zero
why?
sense.
Yeah,
Yeah, why?
And like the fact
Which
that
is so unlike From Software, and they're
Yeah.
allowed to make games that aren't Souls games, right?
Mhm,
Like so that's fine. I'm not saying this needs to be more Souls because it doesn't. But when you know how talented they are at building worlds, and you play this and go, this feels like. I genuinely had this thought, and it's reductive, and it doesn't. So please ignore me. But there were times where I was like, "Oh, this is Blast Core from the N64 days." I'm in this weird world that seems to just only exist so that I can run around in it.
Yeah, like the thing that keeps bothering me, and again, it's a stupid thing to care about, but like, so for the listeners, the first mission is you've landed on this planet, you're not supposed to be there, and you have to go around. You're scanning like dead mechs because you're trying to steal a pilot's license off one, like a freelancer's license.
Yeah, I
like
remember
you're essentially
that one,
stealing someone's documentation, right?
Yeah,
You're
yeah,
like,
yeah.
So, like I say, you've just crash landed in your mech and you're working stuff out, and then you finish that mission, and then you're in a hangar, and I'm like, well, where's this? Where did I get?
Yeah.
Where have I got this
yeah.
facility that can repair me and change my mech and
Harry
yeah, as the
pointed
story
that out to
progresses,
me.
you are clearly moving through the world, right, as you're doing the missions.
Yeah.
But it's like, well, what is this structure that I'm in? Where is it? I don't.
Well, Harry picked up on that. Like it was
Yeah.
really odd. Like so, he was watching me play, and I finished a mission, and it was that mission. It was the one where I'm going right. We need to find the burning mech, so because we need to get the data from them and all this sort of stuff. It's the first time limited one. I'm assuming there's ones later, but it was like you got to do it in 3 minutes. So I'm buzzing around everywhere, and he's like, "There's one." So we fly over, we kill a few people, we get the data, and then it said, "Well done, mission is complete." And I went, right. And he says, please return to base. And Harry went, right, where's the base? And I went, well, it just sort of fades
Dunno.
to black and then I'm in the base.
Yeah.
And he went, what? I was like, yeah. Oh, well, where is it? Don't know, really. In the sky, I guess. I don't know. It's weird, that, isn't it? And,
It is odd.
You know,
Yeah.
I think that's a fair criticism to have because I do think this is a game that obviously is a series that dates back to when that stuff wasn't the regular.
Yeah.
It wasn't regular to see.
Is this
Like
how the previous ones are like, Sean, or what?
You would assume so, but the previous one was what? The last one was on what console?
The last one was on 360 and PS3.
Right. That
See,
feels
that-
about
that-
right.
That was something that in the old, like in the X-Wing and TIE Fighter games, I know they're completely different games, but they did very well at doing that in the sense of like the place of like where you were coming from. Even though they basically were just dumping you in a mission, they used to have like the launch sequence where you'd see yourself, like being launched from, from this Star Destroyer or from like a Rebel craft or whatever, and then also when you went back, recovery and all that kind of thing, and they did. Yeah, they really nailed that, like that aspect.
You don't even get to see a cutscene of like a plane dropping your mech.
Well, I was going to say, because that's what they used to do.
Off.
It used to be you were dropped in by like a helicopter, or there were some missions where like you reaching the mission was part of it. They used to do really cool stuff. So I think it was Armored Core 4 had this mission where you start the mission where like you've basically your mech's got this like extra like fucking jetpack thing on it, right? And it's just like shooting over this ocean, and you're getting shot at, and you dodge a few bullets and it's fine. Then you arrive at the mission. But then when you replay it on hard mode, you get like halfway, and then the jetpack malfunctions, and you just fucking fall into the ocean and everything, and then you have to deal with everything at ground level. Right. So they've been smart enough to make a point of that stuff in the past. And like I say, in the previous games, it was always like, well, you're part of like either part of a corporation, or you're a mercenary, and this is what your home base is, whether it's a giant helicopter or whatever. But this makes a point of like, no, you've just landed on your own, and you're just like scraping by, and you're not really meant to be here. But also, you've got a home that just magically travels around with you.
Yeah,
don't know.
And
weird.
you the missions all start with you fading in, and you're behind the mech in the middle. And I think that okay. So to wrap this up and to bring it full circle, that was kind of where my question came from. I think was that I thought that a big part of playing a mech game was that you needed to feel like a little guy in this huge vehicle. Controlling essentially a science fiction tank, You don't feel that at all in this. There's none of that. You're stepping into this big thing, and you're bringing this big thing down over you, and this big cockpit.
It's not like Titanfall, is it, in that regard?
No, it is. You are the robot, and you're making the robot go about, and that I think is not that doesn't get in the way of what this game does well. What this game does well, it does very fucking well. But you look at it and you go, this could be like so much better if you thought about the world that you're in, B, the fact that you're trying to get across that you're controlling this huge machine. And none of that stuff is in this. And I think that's a shame, because I don't think that takes much to get across, right?
I suppose the answer to that is, if you played a game where it was a lot slower and you felt that weight of the machine, it's not as fun.
No, I agree, but I don't think the answer to that is that the game is slower. I don't think that's the answer to it. I think you can have the gameplay that you're that you've got in this. And still feel like a dude in a thing. I don't think you have to feel like a dude in a thing moment to moment, but Matt has absolutely nailed it. Titanfall, you're a little dude running around. You get into this massive, great big thing, and you feel the systems coming on live, and you're like, shit. And there are moments where you're like, I've got to get out of this big fucking thing.
This game is not about. It's seemingly not about the person in the mech. It's about what the mech's doing. It's like the work that mech is carrying out. It's not. It's not about the story of the person, you inside it, which is
but listen to yourself. The mech is not doing anything. The pilot's doing it.
No, but it's about the work being carried out by that mech.
The person in it has no agency sort of outside of the robot.
There isn't. The person, you don't see the person. The person doesn't get in. It's just basically like what is the work that's being carried out by the machine that you're controlling. That's what the story is seemingly.
Because I think Titanfall's an interesting example because obviously that works because the mech bits they control the same base, right? It's a first-person shooter, but it's because it
100%.
contrasts with the pilot stuff, doesn't it? And that's
right,
why
yeah.
it feels different. And you've got those two, like you've got that shift in scale at all times. Because even when you're in a robot, yes, there's other robots, but there's also people, and you can get out and be a person as well. So it operates on those two levels simultaneously.
Yeah.
Whereas, with this, there's no people running around. It's just robots.
Sure. But if there was a cutscene and very, it's not like it's a weird point, but if there was like a small cutscene of someone getting into the mech that you've designed, and at the end of the mission, a small cutscene of the mech landing wherever it is, and your dude getting out again, that changes the feeling and the tone of what you're doing, and it doesn't do that. And I find
That's what I'm saying. It's like the Star Wars thing. It's like you feel like you're a Imperial pilot or whatever when you see your TIE fighter being like deployed and stuff like that.
So there was one story trailer for this, which I mean, it doesn't answer like what you're saying, but it's basically it shows like what you presume is you like after a mission, and basically you're on this like medical table. Right, and you can't see the person because they've just got this like sheet over them and just all these fucking needles in them everywhere. So I think the implication is very much like between missions, you're a fucking wreck. Right. Your pilot's just getting fucked up every single mission. But I still like I think it's valid to want that
like
sort of who
brain
am I
in a
in
jar.
Robot.
Or something,
Basically,
and they just lower
basically
the brain in the jar into the
I
machine.
think that is more or less the implication. That is basically what you are. Yeah.
So what I want to ask, Sean, is that it feels like you've been excited for this game for years. Like, like does this live up to expectations? Or
It has done. Yeah.
is this
totally.
the best one you've played of these games, or is it hard to tell?
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, like the others, like as great as they were at the time, they're not all that. Well, I mean, they're difficult to actually play because you need original hardware or you have to emulate them and stuff. There's no easy way to play them now. And as I say, sort of Armored Core 5, and then they did another one, sort of a spin-off of that called Armored Core Verdict Day. This wasn't particularly well received. One thing I would really like them to bring back was Verdict Day had this like asynchronous multiplayer mode where you created like a little base and you've put defenses in it and stuff, and other players could try and invade it when you weren't around and stuff, and that was really good fun. Would be nice to see something like that, whereas the multiplayer in this is very bare bones. It's basically just 1v1 or 3v3 matches. That's it.
Yeah.
So if they like fancied fleshing that stuff out more, that would be cool. But yeah, this really feels like they've brought it back, and they've just looked at how they can improve upon the core competencies of the series without doing anything too wild with it. As I say, like the story and everything plays out the same as it did 10 years ago. Plus, they haven't reinvented anything.
For those of you
with
just listening to the pod, when Sean made the core pun, then he pointed at the camera. Don't you ever fucking do that again. Don't you ever do that again, Sean.
Everyone in the chat loved it. You look at them all.
No one said it. Everyone's been sick on their keyboards, so their keyboards don't work now.
Keyboards are all broken. This very much feels like, can we just do a new one as like better than the last ones, but without, as I say, without sort of having any new ideas as such. I mean, they've simplified a few things too. Like you can, so for those who've never played one of these, the customization of your robot goes all the way down to like the targeting computer that you install in it, right?
Yeah.
And that, like previous games, that used to be each targeting computer would have stats for things like how quickly it can lock onto a target, how well it can track a moving target, and the range it can lock onto people at. And from that, you'd be like, all right, well, this one's good for sniping because it's got really good range on it, or this one's good for short range engagement because it can lock on really quickly and track a moving target really fast. Whereas in this game, it's just, here's how good it is at short, medium, and long range, right? Which is fine because in practice, who cares, right?
Some of those descriptions are really like the first shield that you get, and it's like, yeah, someone, but it's not that great.
Not very good. Yeah, its output's not brilliant.
Okay, this is a weird way to sell.
Yeah. So yeah, I fucking love it. But yeah, this in a lot of ways it feels a bit safe, but I'm fine with that after a 10-year break. And obviously it benefits from all the expertise and the money that FromSoft have now. So fine.
Right.
gonna
Okay.
be-
So
okay, sorry.
that's where I sit. I think it's really good.
Mhm.
I'm really enjoying it. I'm loving the combat.
Mhm.
Safe is a good word.
Mhm.
My argument would be I do not see the benefits of the money that's From Software have made.
Okay.
I think this feels very dated in a lot of ways,
Mhm.
visually, in terms of mission structure, which isn't, if you don't care about those things, and I generally don't. I think it's a shame that we're not seeing an incredible looking game that has a little bit more of a modern structure to it. However, having said that, fuck me, when you're in those big battles, it feels absolutely brilliant. Like that first time when you go up to that village, or the town or whatever outside the wall, and it's the game going, now we're starting, and you're seeing fucking things coming from everywhere.
Yeah.
Or the first time you get on top of the Strider and you're like, what's this? And you're like, "Ooh, okay, things are serious."
Yeah.
That stuff is fucking brilliant. I just wish the wrapping around it was a little bit tighter. I wish it was a little bit more modern. And honestly, quite honestly, I do wish, and this is Armored Core fans will hate this, but I do wish
Sorry,
there
there's
was
only
an
three of
option to. Yeah, I do. One of them's on the show. I do wish there was an option where it was like, I don't really care about like the finer details of what targeting system I need. Please just give me a recommended loadout for this mission. I do that, and then I'll pick that. I will change the colours of things, but like in terms of weight distribution and all that sort of stuff, I didn't really want to go into all that.
It doesn't. I think in terms of weight, I think there's like an overall limit. But it used to. So Armored Core 4, you would whenever you say you put like a really heavy weapon on one hand and then a light one on the other hand, it would be like your weight's off to one side, so you would like steer like over to one side.
That
when
would
you're
do
moving.
nothing. Yeah,
And then you'd have to fit like counterweights to other bits. Yeah, so that's gone at least.
good.
But yeah,
Good. A very enjoyable game. If you have not played an Armored Core game before, then definitely check it out. Is there a demo? Because there should be a demo, I think.
I don't think there is. No.
Because it's strange. Because FromSoft do demos. Like there was one for there was one for Bloodborne. There was one for that took you up to the beast, didn't it? The not altered beast.
Beast.
Yeah, Starved Blood Beast or whatever it was. I'm pretty sure there was one for Dark Souls 3 as well, but I could be wrong.
I suppose there are always like network tests, aren't they? I suppose.
Yeah, I love them to do.
Whereas this is
like
bare. That's the one thing, saying how bare bones the multiplayer stuff is. When I fucking load the game up and it obviously quick resumes and it's like, oh, you're in offline mode now, and I'm oh right,
yeah, I got that.
So fucking
what am I going to miss out on? Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't even got PSN at this point. So
really?
The game has made no difference. No, I was like, I'm not playing anything online on my PlayStation. Why should I continue to pay for this? Yeah. That is Armored Core. There's only one game left on our list this week, and it is a Red Dead Redemption. So it won't be a deep dive, but I need to apologise. I've already apologised to John Denton face to face. I was wrong about Red Dead Redemption. I said on this show a couple of weeks ago, or whenever when John was on, was talking about it. I was saying, but the problem with Red Dead Redemption, you go back and you look at it and you go, it's all a bit tongue in cheek and all a bit like we're cowboys, and it hasn't got the tone of Red Dead Redemption 2. That is fundamentally wrong. Okay. I can't believe how serious that game is. It's not what I remembered, and I am sure I watched clips of it like a few years ago after finishing Red Dead 2, and oh my god, it is so fucking good. That game, I'm playing it on Switch. It runs flawlessly. There's a little bit of pop in here and there, but nothing that probably wasn't on the original version. It's got so much more in it than I remembered. I forgot about the what do you call it? The stuff where you're collecting materials, the crafting. I've forgotten about the crafting element to it. I forgot about how much wildlife was in it. I forgot about the random missions that crop up when you're riding past people. that was all in Red Dead Redemption 2, but done better, obviously, and more expansive and stuff. But my God, I am picking it up on the Switch. I am doing 1 or 2 missions, and I'm putting it back down again and going, fuck me. I've already played it way more than I thought I would, and I'm loving every second with it. I cannot believe this game come out when it did. Like, it's unbelievable that this come out. When was the original launch date? That must have been...
I have no
I
idea.
mean, it was 360 PS3 generation,
Yeah, it
wasn't
must
it?
be like
It was.
2008, 2009.
Which is insane, because it feels really modern. Like, the world building, the characters in it, all brilliant. 2010, Louis P says in the chat,
Wow,
which is
okay.
insane. 13 years ago this game came out, and it
So-
still feels fresh.
It doesn't feel like last gen mission design then.
No, the mission design I think is quite it is. You could see the DNA of the GTA games in it way more than you could with Red Dead Redemption 2. But with this one, you're walking in, you're seeing a cutscene, and it's like, hey, here you are, let's go. It's you can see the DNA of GTA in it. And I remember when it come out, people were like, this is GTA, but with horses. Isn't it weird that you're pressing the same button to carjack as you are to get on your horse?
To
And it was
horse
like, okay,
jack.
fine. Yeah. But my
is a
word,
different thing.
when I was walking through Armadillo and seeing things like naturally happen, I was like, shit, man, I'm home. And it really makes me want to dig out Red Dead Redemption 2 again, because that whole world is just so well done, and it's so good to be in that I'm well happy this come out on the Switch. It's brilliant for it. It's
I
perfect.
watched Digital Foundry put out a video, like comparing like performance, obviously, which is what they do, and they said like the Switch version in particular was they were very impressed because it was significantly better than the Xbox 360 and PS3 versions, obviously, and very close to PS4. They said like in quality, it was.
Oh wow.
The comparison with the 360 and PS3 in particular it's very impressive by comparison.
It runs really like it doesn't appear to drop frames. I haven't noticed much frame dropping, and I've loved it. And what's great is that I wanted to do this after finishing Red Dead Redemption 2. I was thinking about playing through Red Dead 1 again, and I didn't. And now that I've finished Illusion Island on the Switch, I need a game that I can just pick up on the Switch and play. And this has been Red Dead Redemption over the past couple of weeks. And the weight of the characters is so different now. Now that you know the full story, and they're talking about Dutch, and they're talking about Dutch all the way through the opening of this game, and you're like, back then I was like, who is this mysterious Dutch? And now I'm playing it, I'm going, I know exactly what and who Dutch is, and I cannot wait to fucking kill him. It's Red Dead Redemption, man. If you find it for the cheap, because it is quite expensive, if you find it on the cheap, then definitely pick it up, because it's a good port and it feels great to play on the Switch. So
I wonder if we'll see GTA 5, whether they'll release that on Switch as well at some
that's
point.
very interesting.
I mean,
I don't know.
My initial instinct is to say, don't be daft. Surely that's impossible. But then if they've got Red Dead Redemption,
Exactly, because that came out on 360, didn't it?
Yeah,
GTA 5.
I'd say it depends. Well, firstly, I wonder how many people would buy it on the Switch. Because
I think
buy
enough.
it.
I mean, 130 million Switches, there'll be a lot of people. And also,
but
want to pay
how many of those
portable.
130 million Switches have owned GTA 5 on
Yeah,
other
but they're like,
systems?
they
I
want to
don't
pay
know.
portable.
People seem to just keep buying it every month anyway.
Yeah,
So it's
Yeah.
true. And I wonder. I think it depends on how far away GTA 6 is. They're not going to want to release a GTA 5 a few months before GTA 6 comes out. I don't know.
Well, we've got until 2025, won't you, probably? So
True that. That's what we've been playing this week. Let's get to your questions.
If you want to send us a question, go to tcgs.co/Dear TCGS. Alan Cake has done that. Says, hi guys, just a quick question. If my memory serves me well, it's been about a year since the start of the Twitch era of the main show. How have you guys found recording the show live, and is there anything you miss about recording shows in advance? Cheers.
Huh. Can I start?
Yeah, go on.
I hate it. I don't want to do it anymore. That's the honest truth. I hate it and I don't want to do it anymore. I
Really?
don't
See,
like being on
I
camera.
really like
I
it.
don't,
Yeah, I like
which
it.
is fine. Like, I don't think there's a right or wrong answer to this.
Mhm.
And the reason why I haven't put my foot down and said let's not do it anymore is
Mhm.
because I think people that enjoy watching it on Twitch and the people that enjoy watching it on YouTube. That's it's nice for them to have, and I wouldn't want to take that away. But I hate I hate it. I hate being on camera. That's one.
Mhm.
I hate the fact that we can all see each other. That's another thing. Like, I like the fact that there was.
See, I think
edge
that
to it.
adds way more than it detracts.
Really.
Yeah, because I know what you
I don't
mean.
know.
There was definitely something about not being able to see each other's faces and what have you, but I think we get as much out of it as we've lost.
There
But we're
was
getting
something,
context. We're getting to context that the podcast listener isn't.
Mm.
but
And
not
I
just
think
that, but
that's-
also sometimes when we discuss things in the past, it's like you couldn't really tell how somebody was reacting to something,
No.
and that added an extra element of danger sometimes to things, which was quite cool, which you don't
But
get.
I feel like if there's ever anything visual going on that is like that we feel is actually essential in any way, we
bring
do
it
just
up, yeah.
mention it. And I don't know.
There's-
We had a
there
few
is
people
you're
complain
right.
about that initially, but
You're right though, James. Do you remember the amount of times we would text or call each other afterward and go, "You all right with that?" That's not happened since Twitch.
exactly, yeah, that's true.
It's not
but you see that to me that sounds like a good thing, Dave.
Yeah, but it's not for the show. Like, in terms of the show, I don't think it's as good. Like, if we're being honest, let me be honest. Yeah, I don't like the Twitch thing, but
Okay.
I wouldn't want to take it away from the people that enjoy it because they seem to really enjoy it. And I don't think it has a massive impact on the pod. I just think it's my mindset and the fact that I just get really self-conscious and I don't like being on camera.
I just
So
forget
I
about it now.
definitely, because when we first talked about doing it, like that was my first thought was like I will feel like shit just being on camera for like 2-3 hours. But I don't know, I've just grown used to it. I guess.
Yeah, I've just kind
Yeah,
of
it's
forgotten
just
it
part of my
happens
life
as
now,
much.
being
Yeah.
under the lights.
Yeah.
And things like Game of the Year show, we still do that off camera because I think
Yes.
that still
That's
requires.
different. Yeah.
That
That.
really needs to be some privacy and
Yeah.
stuff because I don't want to see people texting each other and I don't want to. Yeah, that needs to be off camera.
Yeah.
I mean, I
Definitely.
should say, because I mentioned this to Dave, so when we were trying to get guests the other week, and a few of them mentioned that they wouldn't want to be on camera, so I looked into it and I got a plug-in for OBS, so it'll just do like a little waveform on the screen for
That's great. I
their
love
voice.
that.
And yeah, like if there's any week where any of the four of us just don't want to be on camera, like just say and I'll do that. Like no questions
don't
asked.
say that. James is never going to be on camera again now.
It was just me and you, Sean, and them two as waveforms.
But do you know what I mean? I just from it because I totally get there are going to be weeks where we might just be like, I want to do the show, I just don't want to be perceived, you know.
Yeah, I just look at my bug eyes and just think, "Fuck you." That's not normal, is it? Oh, well.
But no, I like the slightly different energy of like sometimes being. I know like we don't always refer to the chat. Like sometimes people ask us questions in the chat and we will just ignore it. We sort of, but then sometimes if there's useful information. So
I
that
do
sounds
like
really
how the
self-serving,
chat
doesn't
seems
it?
to be more not so much trying to get our attention and more just people discussing what we're talking about in the chat.
Yeah,
Like
because I think
that
if you if it's like, oh, someone in the chat has just asked us this, then that then will make the podcast listeners feel like they're missing out, right? Like there's an avenue of communication they're shut off from. So yeah, we try and avoid that. Hopefully we succeed.
Cool.
Yeah, it's really been a year already. That's in
Yeah.
one
I thought it
way
was
it
longer.
seems really quick.
I thought it was longer. I genuinely thought we've been on Twitch longer.
Yeah. In one way it's quick. One way it feels like we've been doing this for ridiculously long time. So yeah, I don't know.
Okay, I will say that since doing it on Twitch, I don't see how it correlates, but since doing it on Twitch, our listening figures just fucking trebled or whatever. It's
Well,
crazy.
yeah, and because what's especially weird about that is that you see, like the obviously the Twitch stream that you can watch after the fact. Like before Wednesday morning, there'll be like 300 or 400 people have watched just that Twitch stream. Like they've just
Right.
gone. So and they've done that. So
Oh, shit,
after it's
they
broadcast,
have
so
as well,
on
isn't it?
Tuesday, people are just
Yeah.
watching the Twitch stream archive.
You
like-
pointed that out to me. I hadn't even considered that.
Mm.
Like, it's weird how that works because we get roughly about 30 to 40 people watching. I don't understand Twitch with certain things, so we'll get roughly about 30 people watching when we do this show. Then when we do streams of games, which is the normal Twitch stuff, we'll get half that. We'll get 15 to 20, right? It's not like a big audience. And then when we do the talksovers of events, we're like 150, 160 people watching, and I'm going, that's weird. Yeah, do you feel that? Like, I'm like, so what is it about the talksovers? Because that's not what many
people are
people
coming
go
for the
to
news,
Twitch
aren't they?
for.
They're not coming for us. Coming for the event.
Yeah, but then they could just
both.
watch it on any
Yeah.
other channel. So they're clearly coming for us.
Good. Yeah.
Our band. Yeah, it's weird. I don't know how it works, but yeah.
And we're
Yeah,
really
that's how I
not
felt about
even, we're not maximising at all. Like, the hope was, we're doing a video, we'll record as a clips, we'll put,
Yeah.
4 TikToks out, 2 Twitter posts. Obviously, we don't really have the time or the capacity to
I've
do
been
that, but
putting
that was the
TikTok
hope.
things out. I've been putting TikTok. Have you seen them?
You should put it on our account.
I don't have access to it, and I don't really want to. How does it do multiple? Is this something right? Okay, here's my prediction. Has Matt complained about this to anyone that I've been
Of course
doing it
not.
on?
No.
Oh, right, I said, I don't believe it. James is laughing, so
Not seriously.
Oh,
See,
yeah,
this is-
like
this
I
is
said
an
to James,
audio-only
you know
recording.
TikTok? We're like, what?
It's
How
like, you know,
mu- how-
David keeps
how
putting them out on his own account. Gets me off.
Well, to be fair, it's called TCGS Turner on TikTok if you want to see them.
Oh, well, there you go.
And it's got the TCGS logo. So I don't
Is that the old logo? No, I'm joking.
Has it got more
no,
followers
it's
than the
the new
actual
one.
TCGS account?
It's the new one.
It's more active, yeah.
Because right, I'll tell you why. Because can you do multiple accounts on TikTok easily?
What do you mean?
Do I have to keep
Just on one
logging
app,
into
yeah.
my own one?
Yeah, you can switch. We can have. I'm logged into loads of mine.
Oh, okay, right, okay. So maybe I'll start doing that then. Because yeah, our most popular one at the moment has had 2,860 views, which is
Blimey.
you know.
So, I mean, grand scheme of
and
things, yeah, but
And
good
it
for
is
us.
Sean. No, and it is. It's this clip.
It is when you're sitting there guffawing at everything I'm saying. Stop saying guffawing. You've never sounded
That's
more
the
middle
guffawing,
class
yeah.
than you did right now.
Yeah, it's where James says this. Ready?
He's got gun in right hand.
Here we go.
I said you have a gun in your right hand, and then in your left hand you have
Here we go.
uppercuts like telekinesis. What's the wrong with saying that? What's the wrong?
I mean, it's a very good clip. It is a very good clip. What's so wrong with it? So that's our most popular TikTok. But yeah, no, that stuff's good. But I don't know. Look, hey, I'm willing to just not complain about it too much.
Unless
I
asked.
don't know. Go on.
Charlie says, Dear TCGS, this weekend I broke my collarbone from falling off my bike while trying to impress the good people in the TCGS Fitness Strava group.
No, really?
Yeah.
Do you know
Yeah.
about this, Matt?
No.
Shit.
Okay.
Hey. Sorry, Charlie.
So I'm not too upset, though, as it means my gaming time has now suddenly increased. The only problem is my arm is in a sling, so I only have one hand to operate a controller. What are some games you'd recommend which can be played one-handed? So far, I've been playing Vampire Survivors and As Dusk Falls, but I'm looking for more.
Monkey Ball.
Any point and click on it, like you can play.
Yeah.
Yeah,
If
but it's a
got
bit
mouse.
irritating to just because there's a difference between playing a game with one hand and then having to just like go to one part of the pad and then back over.
Yeah,
to
even the
other.
Expanse, you couldn't do that. Well, you
No,
could, but it would take forever.
I would
I suppose if you've got a
say
PC, you could play with a mouse. That'd be all right. But
Monkey Ball. Monkey Ball is the ultimate answer.
yeah,
Yeah, like the normal levels. That one that came out recently on modern consoles was decent. I liked it. You know, the remake.
Sean
I've
doesn't
just-
look convinced.
No,
That's all.
I've no opinion on Monkey Ball. I've never really given it a proper go. I've seen it
No,
at like
really?
events and stuff, and I've been like giving it 2 minutes, been like, yeah, all right. But I've never
Oh,
sat
mate.
down and had a proper
Did you
go.
into a GameCube?
No, just never. I
Is
don't know,
there
just
any
never
way
really
of
crossed
playing
paths with it.
those first two games like online multiplayer. Because I don't even
Part
think
of the problem with that
though
though is the controller. One of the reasons the GameCube one was so good was because of the controller. Because you could lock. No,
that's
because you
not
could.
true.
It is because you could lock it into certain positions, like
That's,
so you could.
yeah, that's
Yeah,
true.
'cause of
But
the-
I
yeah.
don't think that that's too much of an issue in the ones that I've played recently. The main thing you need the controller for was monkey bowling. Like monkey bowling and that controller was fucking insane how that worked together. With software, it's like one of those things where you go software working with hardware, creating something that is unimaginable on anything else. You know what I mean? You can't play this on Xbox. You can't because it's not got the hardware that goes along with it. The triggers felt so perfect when it come to aiming and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, shit. I love Monkey Ball. But yeah, play that. That's good.
Charlie, if you've got any interest in roguelike deck builders, just like our James, Monster Train on Game Pass is fucking brilliant. Probably play that with one hand, I imagine.
It's kind of an essential part that you need to be sure about it. It's an essential part of the question.
It's free to check if you've already got Game
Okay,
Pass.
right,
Oh, and
that's
Loopy in the
right.
chat saying Dicey Dungeons as well. Yeah, that's fucking really good. In fact, you can play that on your phone. In fact, I think Monster Train might be on phones as well.
Water Sorter. That's one finger in it. Oh, you telling me
that?
none of you have found out about the world of Water Sorter?
No.
Nope.
Really? You've not played
Yeah.
water sorter games on your phone? Your kids have not been in. Right, okay.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, as in the thing from the ads where you
the
like,
moment
yeah.
you
Yeah,
see
yeah,
it.
yeah.
The
Didn't know it had
moment
a
you see
name.
there's just tons of like test tubes, and you've got to try and sort the water out. Harry's got look at that. I'm on level 161 at the moment. And do you know
Nice.
what's really funny is that I can pay for there not to be ads, and Harry can't. So he gets frustrated. He'll do 2 levels. He's like, isn't it annoying that you got to wait a minute? You do 2 levels. I'm like, I don't. Can you do this for me? Nope. I'm not paying twice.
Pokemon
go.
Go. I mean, you'd have to go out, which might be
Pokemon
I mean,
go to the polls.
I mean, you still go out when you get your arm in a sling, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's good to get exercise, isn't it?
But it's
Presumably threes as well would probably be
Yeah.
not a bad choice.
It's a good game.
Disc driving.
No, because you need to hold the thing while you do. Like,
We just put it on the table.
Yeah, but then the fucking phone will fly off.
No, just wedge it next to a book or something. I don't know.
All right, wedge it next to a book, Charlie.
Yeah,
Stop
come on,
fucking
Charlie.
moaning.
Think about it.
Wedge
Come on,
it next to
Charles.
a book, lad.
Sort it out. Mike Edwards.
Write that one down, Matt. Wedge it next to a book because that's also got potential.
Wedge it next to a
yep.
fucking book. Wedge it next to fucking book. Okay, got it.
Mike Edwards says, will any of you be buying the premium edition of Starfield to get early access? I just found out you can pay £32 to upgrade the Game Pass version, and I'm very tempted. Thanks, love the show. The show loves you, Mike.
Yeah.
Right, Sean and Matt have been trying to convince each other to fucking buy it, and they've been.
Oh, no,
I
it'd be
don't
good
think
for the
any
show.
convincing is
No, it wouldn't.
required.
Yeah, I think
It
we're
wouldn't be
both...
good for the show. It wouldn't be good for the
That's
show.
that is it. That
I mean,
is really
it's
it because
30
It wouldn't be good for
quid.
the show. It'd only be
Why
good
not?
for the show if all 4 of us did it. And me and James are not going to do it. So
I
next
ain't-
week's
I
show,
ain't
that's
paying
your
32
problem about
I ain't
Starfield
paying
and going, oh,
32
we'll go over
quid.
the same shit next week.
I ain't paying 32 quid for 5 days. I mean, that's
Yeah, it's
ridiculous.
Well, that's a
ridiculous.
week in podcast time, James.
It's ridiculous. James, I'm absolutely with you. And for them two to go, it's good for the show. No, it's not.
I didn't.
It would be
I didn't
good
say
for the
I
show
want
if the
what I want to
Yeah,
experience.
but why is that our problem that you're not going to buy it?
Because shut
Oh, well,
up.
actually, you're wrong. It's not good for the show because of something I've decided.
Yeah.
That's absolutely right. That's absolutely right. All I'm saying is
Okay.
that it's not
Okay.
good for the show if we spread the first week chat over 2 weeks.
Yeah, but why is that our fault and not yours?
It's not. It's our fault
Okay.
because we don't want to pay £32 to pay a game, pay for a
5
game
days
that
earlier.
would play for free for five days later.
But you get extra stuff. No, right. So we all did. I think a lot of us did this with Forza Horizon 5, right? But that
Yeah,
was
that's right.
different because
Yeah.
that got you the 2 major expansions and I think
That's
some
right,
extra
yeah.
cars and stuff. So that was like, well, I would pay this for the expansions anyway. I literally no problem with that. This comes with like what, 1 expansion? I think.
Do you,
Also of an unknown
do you
entity,
get
right?
a
We
canvas
knew that
bag?
No,
we
no
knew that
canvas
Forza
back.
was going to be good, right? I think there's the difference as well for me.
Yeah, but like, so this gets you access from Friday the 1st. Like, the reviews
Yeah.
go live 5 p.m. on the 31st. So at that point, we'll know. If it's a 10, I'm going to do it. If it's rubbish, I'll probably do it. If it's actually middling, maybe I'll wait. I don't know.
Matt's
I
absolutely
basically kind of want to see it regardless.
One extreme or the other.
No, Matt's
Yeah.
gonna do it
The thing is,
regardless.
Dave, you know, I've got a friend who will not shut up about it, and he'll be demanding that I get this, and will want to know what I think
Have
from
you?
the first.
Is that from Matt?
No,
Oh, okay.
it's
don't know
the
who-
person who it always is when I don't want to say who it is.
Okay. I can't remember. You talked to me afterwards.
Okay.
Well, it's
not
obvious.
clicking with me.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's not
really
landing
obvious.
with me. I am amazed that we're at the point in our career now where we're not just getting sent the code. Is that bad? Is that bad? I always felt really envious of Filthy Casuals. Do you ever listen to that podcast?
I didn't, but I've heard many good things. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a decent podcast. It's very similar to this, I think. You know, it's one of the ones where you go, oh yeah, no, we're both trying to do the same thing. And it's based in Australia. But because there aren't many Australian gaming podcasts, they get all like Microsoft Australia are like fully backing them.
Right.
Nintendo Australia are fully backing them. And
Right.
because we live where we live, it's like nah. Sorry, that's just my anger seeping onto
alright.
the pod. I don't think I'm gonna upgrade. But you're right, Matt. If all the reviews are 10s, then
Yeah.
I don't know.
Can't
But
say
then when
it.
are the reviews out?
5 p.m. on the 31st.
Oh right, okay. So we can make
We'll
an
know
informed
by the
decision.
time,
We don't
yeah.
have to.
Yeah, I'm
okay.
not going to buy it before that. We'll see what reviews are like, and if it's amazing, I'll probably upgrade.
You're
but,
going to get it regardless, so don't.
Yeah, you're
You've
gonna
made
get
your
it
mind up
anyway, Matt.
already.
You
bad
can
for the
get
show, so maybe I won't. Don't know.
Wouldn't
Although
want
it
to be
does,
divisive, would we, Matt?
I would
No.
say, that does come out on Patreon payday. So
Oh, come on,
It does,
Dave.
and the two of you need to fucking buy it once between you.
Yeah, 15 quid each.
no, I don't think that works like that.
Oh, does it not work for
I don't
DL?
think it works like that
Okay.
either.
Okay,
No,
okay.
I think you need to buy it independently.
Is
Yeah, it
that
doesn't
so?
work for DLC. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Look at James. He thought he was going to get a free 5-day early pass there, and now he's gutted.
Yeah,
That's
so
good.
I'm tempted, but we'll see what I'll probably
It's,
won't do it
yeah,
regardless.
and to be clear, if it wasn't for the show, fucking no chance.
I would anyway.
It is clearly a risk,
We know.
and because how do you know? Obviously, Day Zero patches are a thing. I have no particular feelings either way about that. But what's Day Zero for this? Right? Is it the first when a lot of people can start playing it, or is it the actual release date? Like,
Nah, it'll
are
be
we
the
going to be
first.
playing an unpatched version?
It will be the first. There's no.
Do you reckon?
If they would not release an unpatched version, that is essentially day one.
Mhm.
The first, 100%.
Okay,
Okay.
next.
Last question comes from Kurt Lewin. It says, hi lads, having just finished Resident Evil 4 Remake and Dead Space Remake earlier this year, one thing about both games that really stood out to me was the pacing, which was pretty much perfect. How important do you think pacing is to a game, and what are some examples of games which stand out for you purely on their pacing? P.S. Did any of you play Dead Space Remake? I loved it, and it should be on the GOTY discussions if you all enjoyed Resi 4.
Pacing for me, I think it's personal preference to start with. I don't think there is a right way to pace a game. That people have different tolerances. As I'm getting older, I'm noticing my friends who are heading or already in their 40s giving up games within the first 2 hours when they wouldn't have done before, because it's it's trying to do all this and
Still doing a tutorial and fucking...
yeah. I think for me, pacing is hugely important. I genuinely do. I want to feel like that my time is not being wasted and that it is not. Yeah, I mean,
But
I'm
then
seeing the irony.
you can have a game have like peaks and troughs in terms of activity, right? There can be games that
Sure.
can have like meaningfully chill bits before it all kicks off again,
100%.
and still be
But that's
respectful of your
part of
time.
good
But yeah,
pacing.
there's a difference, isn't there?
Yeah, that's part of good pacing. I'm not
Yeah.
saying good pacing is 4 solid hours of action, because that's not good pacing.
That's this show, mate.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I would say, I'd say, what are good examples of good pacing? It's tough. I can't think of it. I mean, Titanfall 2, the single player game in that was incredibly well paced. There were moments where it let you have a connection with your robot, and then you're out and you're fighting and it's all kicking off, and then it builds up, the levels build up. In terms of Mario games, it's incredible pacing in terms of teaching you a skill set and slowly increasing that. Celeste, another brilliant example of that. And there are games where I've just gone, it falls off the edge. As much as I love Gears of War Ragnarok, the first 5 hours of that are shocking. You know what I mean? Like, they're really not very good. And you just think, if you'd have taken that, and even if you managed to work out a way of either dropping it or spreading it out, Gears of War Ragnarok, apparently, said Scientology.
I didn't even pick up on that. Sorry.
God of War Ragnarok is the game I'm talking about.
Doing this on Twitch is good.
Every now
Ben.
and then it stops a bunch of abuse coming through. So thanks for that. So God of War Ragnarok, I think the early part of that game was incredibly poorly paced, and then after those first 4 or 5 hours, it's incredibly well paced. And seeing the juxtaposition between the rest of the game and those first 5 hours, you go, holy shit, pacing can completely change your opinion on a game if it's done right. It's incredibly important.
It's funny though, isn't it? Because as I say, so sometimes good pacing can be that sort of dynamism between like big stuff happening and then quiet bits and then loud bits and quiet bits. But then sometimes it can be something like As Dusk Falls, which is just fucking relentless. Like, just in terms of your interactions with it. Like, I don't know. It's just interesting.
That was so good.
And that's the thing, because like also speed, the speed of games and how long it takes before things start to really kick in. That can also be very subjective as to how you feel about that, because sometimes I mean I've played a lot of games where it's incredibly slow, like the pacing can be, but then the payoff then sometimes can be bigger because of that, because it builds the anticipation. But again, that's my personal feeling about that. Whereas for other people, maybe they play it and think, I don't want to go through this. It's too boring.
It's all about patience.
Yeah,
and what you're willing to put up with. And some people just have a low threshold. They don't care. The pacing is not a problem. So that's one of the things that really puts me off of JRPGs, when you see people say it doesn't really start getting going until you're 15 hours in, and I'm going, well, you do not give a shit about my time then, do you?
Yeah. I could have played other brilliant games twice over by that point.
Like with that, it depends on what you're doing in those 15 hours and to whether it does feel like you're building to something meaningful that is going to happen. That can be great, sometimes. But again, it's your mileage may vary. It depends on...
and when you're looking at thresholds and personal preference, a good example of that recently is Final Fantasy VII the remake, and Matt was a little bit more accepting for some of the times where it was like, okay, well, I'm forgetting here, go back again, and I wasn't, and I was like, no, fuck this. But it's all personal preferences,
and it's especially weird in a game that clearly doesn't need padding out, right? Like, it's long enough.
I mean, I love that game, but the padding in the sewers at the end was horrendous. So one of the later chapters, like, this is just not needed. So that was great, but still loved the game overall.
It's funny, like
the underground bit.
Sorry.
Yeah, the sewers, yeah.
Yeah, that's the bit where I gave up. Yeah. That's the bit where I went,
oh, no, but like, you gave up an early bit. There's a later chapter where you have to do all that again for some other reason. It's bullshit.
No, I think I'd done that. I think that was the second bit. Yeah, after all the ghosts, after all the collapse and all of that sort of stuff. I think I was about 2 chapters away from the end.
Yeah,
I went back through the sewers and I went, fuck this. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting. So, playing 2 Human with Matt last night, there are these sections, you're running around fighting robots and shit, and then occasionally it's like, oh, you've got to go into cyberspace and push a rock to unlock a door in real life. I remembered that stuff was in the game, but I don't remember it ever upsetting me. It was like physically excruciating going back to that and being like, why is this in the game? I absolutely hate this. Yeah. Like, it's zero interest whatsoever. It is just a faff to open a door. Like, it's not even a puzzle, right? It's just walk up to a rock, press a button, shoves it, That's it.
Walk back. Also, they changed the camera from like behind the person to like a cinematic view. So after you've done the bit where you move the rock and open the door, you have to walk back into the camera. Can't really see where you're going.
Yep.
It's a great game.
Stuff. But yeah, so back in the day, that didn't even register to me as an issue. I wouldn't have been like, oh, there's this great bit where you go into cyberspace, but it just didn't register at all. Whereas now it's like, what the fuck is this? Like, why did they think this was a good idea? It's insane.
Are you saying Dennis Dyack may not have been?
Dennis Dyack may not always know what he's talking about.
Too human isn't that good. Is this the conclusion we're getting to?
I was actually quite into it.
I did not have a bad time streaming that.
No, it was fun.
It's good.
All right.
That's it. Sorry, we didn't really answer Kurt's question. Sorry, Kurt.
Socials.
Yeah, streams. Anyone?
Stream.
Sean?
I'll stream some. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. What should I stream?
More Armored Core.
More Armored Core. Does people want that? Maybe.
What was that game? It was a game recently where I was like, you should stream that, and you went, yeah, no, that'd be a good stream, and I can't remember what it fucking was now. Might have been Arcade Paradise actually.
Oh yeah.
But maybe not.
Might be right.
Okay, well, so will there be a stream of some sort potentially?
There'll be a stream of some sort on Thursday.
Thursday at
Have
9.
you
There'll be
started
a stream.
Arcade Paradise, Sean?
What, sorry?
Have you started Arcade Paradise?
I haven't, no.
Oh, maybe that would be a good stream then, because the opening to that game is quite funny.
Okay.
How you're sitting there trying to jockey everything and go, oh for fuck's sake, I've got to do this now. Yeah.
So yeah, but Thursday night there'll be a stream. James, are you back to streaming on Friday?
I am, because I bought a new game specifically to stream, which I'm going to do on
God,
Friday.
is it a game that you think you're going to hate?
No,
Yep.
it's a game that I'm hoping I'm going to really like, actually. Because I'm going to stream, it's Star Trek
Oh, shit.
Resurgence.
Nice.
Yes.
Nice.
I'll
gonna
get in.
Stream that. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that, because yeah, I wanted to play
Sean's
it.
absolutely buzzing.
I am. I genuinely am. I think that'll be perfect.
Yeah.
Well, because it's a cool story-based thing. It's James fucking loves Star Trek, and we'll be able to talk about it in an intelligent manner. Yeah, I'm excited.
Do you know what would be like?
No
Do you
pressure,
know what
James.
would be the ideal situation here? James,
sorry.
what time are you streaming Star Trek Resurgence?
That'd be 10 o'clock.
Till
It'll be UK time 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
like,
No,
UK
it's
time 9 o'clock
BST.
till what, like
Yeah.
11?
No. Usually, I usually do about an hour and a half to 2 hours.
Okay. Imagine if I then come on after him and stream the same game for the exact same amount of time. In an ideal world, if we were doing this full time, that's exactly what I'd be doing.
You could like do a version where you cut between your reactions to
That's
the
what
same
the,
bit.
yeah, you getting it, baby. That's where my head's at, baby.
Patreon.com/TCGS.
TCGS.
Yeah, so those streams are both on twitch.tv/TCGSco. Search TCGS in the app. If you miss one live, go to our YouTube channel. You can find the VODs afterwards. If you've got Amazon Prime, connect your Twitch account. You get a free sub. Give it to us. We really appreciate it. We're on patreon.com/TCGS for exclusive monthly podcasts. You can watch me and Sean play 2 Human from last night if you're on the right tier. And the website is tcgs.co for links to our major gorgeous Discord, store, merch. I should probably take TCGSCon t-shirts down at some point, maybe, if I have time. And other podcasts and socials.
Cool. And we are heading towards the Game of the Year show now. We're all back together. The summer holidays are nearly over.
Well, got ages. Got a whole quarter of the year.
Yeah, but it's the run-up, Sean. It's the fact that we've all
But the
been
run-up's
away.
already started, though. It's fucking mental.
Yeah, but it's the fact that we're all back together again.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, this is where it starts. This is where the build-up starts. We're all back. We're going to be back for some time. It's going to get interesting. Oh, James, you really going away
So you
again?
planning
You're taking
another
a
week
fucking
off?
piss.
Not yet, but I've got to go. I've got work things I've got to do. But
Do you want to be on this fucking show?
Unbelievable.
When do I get a week? Because I'm not going anywhere. Do I just have to choose one week? I don't want to do
just
it this
book a
week.
week off.
Let's have a week
You
off.
pissed me off a little bit last week, Sean, when you were like, well, I should just take a week off. I haven't had a week off for ages. Apart
Yes,
from
you
the
have.
Disney thing. Oh, and that was the other thing. Oh, David's had 3 family holidays. Yes, I like my family. Is that all right with you, Sean?
I did say that.
Yeah.
I love my family. Is that a problem?
No,
We'll see you all
really
next
happy
week.
for you.
Yeah, this has been our longest normal show that we've ever done. Thanks for living it. We'll catch you next week. We love you all. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Yeah, well.
Ta-ra.